All right, Shalom Israel. Well, welcome back to class. Welcome back to isbhpk San Antonio. We want to give a shout out to our brothers in Houston, in Rochester, New York, in Norfolk, Virginia, Cabo Cobb, down in Guatemala, Amiatazai in London. And we want to give a shout out to LA Judah and our brothers up in Canada that's watching. Also Costa Rica, England, London, all overseas. Shout out and shalom to you as well. Welcome back to class. The title of the class is called, Does the Most High Value My Point of View? All right. Does the Most High value my point of view? That's the topic of the class. And I know we're running a little late, but yeah, I know we're running a little late. Salakia, we'll get it back popping and get back on time. Hopefully next Wednesday we'll start right at 7:30. I know sometimes class can go 3 hours. That's not the goal. The goal today is to get the class in about 2.5, max, maybe even 2. If we can get it down to 2 hours, that's good too. Get it in 2 hours. All right. So shalom, shout out to everybody online that's watching online. Shalom to everybody in class. Good to see everybody in class. Good to see all the families growing, brothers growing, households growing, spirits growing. A lot of the camaraderie also that we're watching amongst brothers and sisters is growing too, and that's a good sign, because Christ said, "You know my disciples by what?
The love they have one for another."
The love that they have one for another.
And people gotta be clear. People understand. Listen, this is an opportunity to serve Christ on a level before the world gets destroyed, before the world all falls apart. If you don't want to take it serious and it's not that serious, that's cool, but it's gonna look real fake and real phony when dollars collapsing, nukes is dropping, diseases are dropping, population is dropping, and all of a sudden I love Jesus now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look sincere. It's good to serve the Most High before everything falls apart.
Yep. Absolutely, because we've seen it before, whether it was the Y2K scare, whether it was in '99, the new millennium, whether it was the nukes gonna go off because the computers weren't aligned for the year 2000. So whether it was a new millennium, bombs supposed to go off, whether it was the end of the Aztec calendar, 2012, when everybody thought the world was going to end in 2012, whether it was 9/11, 2001.
That was a major situation.
Shut down of the economy. We've seen different situations where when there's fear and dread on the line, then all of a sudden everybody believes. But we know the parable of the 5 or 10 virgins, 5 are wise, 5 are foolish. Some had their oil ready and some didn't. So we know that the objective is for us to get our oil ready, and maybe we can do a whole class on that, what that means. But for now, let me cut this phone off. So the scriptures also talk about. Since you brought that point up, Daria, let me get this point. Let me hit this. Somebody grab the scripture for me real quick. It's in the New Testament. It's in Corinthians. Hold on 1 second.
Verse 16.
Let me make sure real quick. Give me that scripture where it says, "Today if you will hear." That might be the Hebrews. I don't know why my app is not bringing this up. Today, if you will hear, somebody find that for me real quick.
Hebrews 3 and 15.
It is Hebrews. All right, Hebrews 3 and 15. All right, let's get that.
God, Hebrews 3 and verse 15. Ready?
I know it's not on the screen. We're just going to quote it because it's not technically part of the class. But let's go ahead and read this real quick.
While it is said, "Today, if ye will hear his voice."
It says what?
While it is said.
No, read verse 14. I'm sorry. No, verse 13.
Hebrews 3 and verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
But exhort one another daily.
It says exhort one another how?
Daily.
We're supposed to be exhorting one another daily. On a daily basis, we're supposed to be exhorting one another, motivating each other, exciting one another. Go ahead, to change. Read on.
While it is called today.
Why it's called what?
Today.
So what does that mean?
Seize the opportunity.
Seize the opportunity. Take advantage of the opportunity. You know, not why it's called yesterday or tomorrow. Tomorrow might be too late.
Exactly.
So that's why it's called. You do this while it's called today. Read on.
Lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin.
Lest any of us be hardened through the what?
Deceitfulness of sin.
Don't let sin. Sin is always behind us, trying to get us caught up. So that's why you have to exhort each other daily, because you have to escape sin on a daily basis. Satan is on his job daily. He don't take a day off. He hasn't taken a day off since his creation, since Adam and Eve. So he's been in motion this whole time. So that means you can't take a day off. You got to be motivated, incited, inspired every day. That's why I said do that for each other. You can let that go. That's just the point. Just do it while it's called today. That's the whole point. All right. So today's topic is called, does the Most High value my point of view? All right. Because a lot of times we value the way we think. We value the way we operate because we taste a little success behind our movements and our decision making, and we see how our decisions sometimes work, and sometimes that can get the best of us and deceive us into thinking that I'm always right. I'm always looking at how I look at things is correct. That's dangerous. But we got to see how the Most High, quantifies that thought process. First and foremost, we got the verse on the screen, Romans chapter 11, verse 1. Let's read that real quick. First reader, Romans. Second reader, Romans chapter 11, verse 3, or 11, verse 1.
Romans chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people?
And he said, I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? I'm sorry, did I say Romans? I'm so sorry. 1 Corinthians 11 and 1. I'm tripping. We're going to read Romans 2, but not right now. I'm tripping. Let me correct this. 1 Corinthians 11 and 1. That's what I want. I'm ready.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 1.
1 through 3 is fine.
Be ye followers of me.
So Paul said what?
Be ye followers of me.
So Paul, which is we know is a forerunner of faith and spreading the gospel, he said, I want you to do what?
Be ye followers of me.
He said, I want you to follow me. Read on.
Even as I am of Christ.
He said, because I follow who?
Of Christ.
So first of all, the topic of the class is, does the Most High value my point of view? Not if you're not following somebody. Right off the jump. Right? Not if you're not following somebody that's following Christ. From the very beginning, Paul is saying what?
Be ye followers of me.
Go ahead.
Even as I am, even as I also am of Christ.
Go ahead.
Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things.
He says, you remember me in all things. Go ahead.
And keep the ordinances as I delivered them unto you.
Ordinances are orders. Orders are commands. Commands are commandments. These are orders. These are commandments. What's the commandments that he said I want you to keep? Read.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
He said the head of every man is who?
Christ.
Read on.
And the head of the woman is the man.
So everybody got a head. Everybody has somebody that they're supposed to follow. And the head is what brings about instruction and direction. So the head is Christ. The head of every single man, the one that man should be getting his instruction from is Christ. The one he should be listening to is Christ. The one he should be following is Christ. Now Paul knows that Christ is with the Father. So Paul is saying what? Follow me as I what? Follow Christ. I'm going to show you how to follow Christ. Because we know Christ is amongst us, but in the spirit. Read on.
And the head of Christ is the Most High.
And even Christ has a head. Who's his head? Where does he receive his instruction from?
The Most High.
The Most High. So everybody that's keeping the orders or the commandments is following somebody that's ahead, that's following after Christ. Because Christ even he's not allowed to make his own decisions. He doesn't. He doesn't sit back and say, well, what about my thoughts? What about how I feel, Most High? Why can't I do what I want? He said, man, if it be thy will, he said, if it's thy will, let this cup pass from me. If it's possible, let this cup pass me.
Come.
But if it's your will, let your will be done. If this is what you want, I'll drink the cup. But it's really not really what I want. If there's a way around it, give me a way around it. But if not, I'll go ahead and do it. Meaning what? There was a struggle. There was a struggle from him saying, you know what, I'm gonna taste this death. But he went ahead and did it anyway because he doesn't listen to who?
Himself.
He doesn't listen to himself. He said Christ's head, the head of Christ is the Most High. And what? It says the head of every woman is what?
The head of every woman is the man.
So everybody got a head. So this is necessary in the scriptures. So you got to ask yourself, who are you following that's following Christ? Hebrews 13 and 17. Just on this point. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 17.
Gone. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17 reads. Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead and read.
Come. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17 reads, obey them that have the rule over you.
Go ahead.
And submit yourselves.
And do what?
Submit yourselves.
Submit yourselves to them that have the rule over you. Go ahead.
For they watch for your souls.
For they do what?
For they watch for your soul.
So it's showing you the ones that's following Christ that you should be following is the ones that's watching over your soul. Those are the ones you should be following. The ones that's watching over your soul, that's instructing you in the gospel. It said they watch for your soul. Read on.
As they that must give account.
Because they are responsible for your soul. They have to give an account for your soul. Read on.
That they may do it with joy
and you should make that process as easy as possible. You shouldn't make the process of stewardship difficult. You shouldn't make it hard for someone that's a steward, that's trying to serve the Lord, to be a head and a guide over you, to help you and aid you in your conversion and your submission to Christ. Read on.
That they may do it with joy.
Go ahead.
And not with grief.
And not with grief. Go ahead.
For that is unprofitable for you.
Because it's unprofitable for who?
For you.
So it's best to do what?
Make it easy. Obey.
Obey with and make it easy to obey. Make it easy for those that watch over your soul to give you instruction in righteousness. Not make it hard. These are the ones that's responsible for you spiritually, right? Now back to Now we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, because I want to get on this point about how Christ had a head, how he had somebody that he had to follow. He wasn't at liberty to just do and come and go as he pleased, and say what he wanted to say, behave how he wanted to behave, and plan how he wanted to plan. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, start at verse 14.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14.
Let me get it to you. All right, read that.
But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High,
Go ahead.
for they are foolishness unto him.
So this is a natural, regular person.
Mm-hmm.
A person who functions and operates like everybody else on planet Earth. We call right now, what we call in the world, we call basic, in slang terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Person, this is a basic person. Like you just wherever TV's opinion is, that's your opinion. Wherever the popular ideas, that's how you think. Whatever is politically correct, that's your mindset. Whatever your cousin says to do, you roll with however the popular or the most closest people that are not from the Bible, your opinion naturally flows towards their opinion. That's natural.
How I feel is natural too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we go off how we feel.
That's true.
And we use words like, well, I suppose. Where did you get that from? I suppose. Well, I believe. I think. Well, if you ask me.
If you ask me.
I tell you what I believe and
Yeah.
how I feel about this situation. What we do is we go off our own conjecture.
Yeah.
We go off our own thought process when it comes to how things should be done. We don't really quantify and say, you know what will my elders do in this situation? What would Christ do? WWJD, what would Jesus do? What would he do in this situation? How would the Most High want me to behave in this situation? We don't often take on the minds of those that watch over our souls. We most often we kind of judge based on how we feel and how our wisdom tells us, hey man, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about nice. You know, I should follow through with this decision because it it's worked for me before. I don't see what the problem is now. Read on.
It says, for they are foolishness unto him.
Go ahead.
Neither can he know them.
Go ahead.
Because they are spiritually discerned.
Because your way of doing things versus the Most High's instruction, they're spiritually what?
Discerned.
Give me the definition of discern. They're spiritually discerned. Give me the definition of discern.
Discerned. Distinguished.
It's what?
Distinguished.
Distinguished means what?
Seen or discovered.
Go ahead.
That's all I got for discerned.
Or
Discern, verb. To see or understand the difference.
to see and understand the what?
The difference.
Because to be distinguished meaning you're separate, you're different. So he said how the natural man thinks versus how the Most High thinks is what?
Different.
They're different.
Spiritually.
They're different. They're not the same thing.
Right.
Our thoughts and the way we operate versus how the Most High looks at things and wants things to be done, they are not the same way. Most High said, my thoughts are not what?
Your thoughts.
He said, my ways are not what?
Your ways.
No, your ways. He said, for my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, and my ways are higher than your ways. So there's a distinguishable difference how we think versus how the Most High thinks.
True.
Versus how Christ thinks. They're not the same. But it's hard to tell a man to not agree with his thought process when his thought process has been with him all his life. If your thought process has been tagging along all your life, what makes a man say, you know what, I can't trust this right now? That's hard to do, is to say, let me throw away what's been keeping me safe and what's keeping me honest and what's keeping me alive. My wisdom kept me alive. So if I've gotten this far with my wisdom, it's hard for a man to throw that away to adopt new wisdom because he don't trust it yet. I don't trust what the Most High is showing me yet because I haven't proved it. It hasn't been proven. I'm learning. That's why I gotta, in the meantime, follow the elders and their instruction until I can see the wisdom or the benefit of following wisdom and aligning my thoughts to how the Most High thinks. Now I can trust it and see that, you know what, I can cast off my opinion. I can cast off my way of doing things. But initially, men do not trust it, especially if I'm coming from a carnal perspective. Men do not trust the fact that I should follow somebody else. Somebody else has a better direction or better idea, or somebody's bringing new wisdom that I don't know about.
Based on experience.
Based on experience. But in my mind, I've known my thoughts for a long time. I don't know that other distinguishable opposite form of thinking that comes from the Lord. I haven't seen the benefit of that yet. You know, I've seen the benefits of me saying what I need to say, and I got rewarded from it. But the reward was probably carnal. But I've seen it work. So he said, read that again.
It's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, latter end of 14. It says, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can they know them, because they are spiritually discerned.
That's why the way the Most High thinks and the way that the Most High gives me instruction, a lot of times it's not going to make a lot of sense. And this is where faith comes in at. This is where faith comes in, where I have to follow what I'm told, and I have to believe in what I'm told and being shown is correct. I know for myself, I was told because spiritually I was being pulled out of class, and I'll give this one situation. Spiritually I was being pulled out of class, and I was trying to juggle home life and school life and class life, camp life. And my elder told me, he said, hey brother, your rib got to take care of that situation at the house. You can't juggle both. I said, brother, my rib don't get out till 7 o'clock at night. I got to do this, bounce back, do this, get the kids, get ready, you know what I'm saying? I got a lot of responsibilities. And he said, well, you got to tell your rib to tell her boss that if she can't be out by 5 o'clock, so you can be freed up and do your work for the Lord, that she had to quit her job. Now, most of us will say, man, that's going to affect my what?
Money.
That's going to affect my income. That's going to affect my money. And I'll say, you know what? Man, my money finna come up short. She might lose her job. There was some fear involved.
Yeah.
A lot of fear involved. Because you've been on a job. Rib got a job. You say, brother say, hey, brother, you got to free yourself up because this got to come first. I said, man, I'm in a pickle. I'm in a situation where I don't know if this is going to work for me. I don't know. It don't sound too safe.
It's not foreseeable.
I'm not comfortable with this. It's not foreseeable. But you know what? I said, the same. I didn't hesitate. I did hesitate. But in the same hour, let me go ahead and say that I hesitated because I didn't do it right away. But in the same hour, it took me about an hour to process it. I picked up the phone and said, hey, you got to tell your boss that you got to be off by 5 o'clock. By 5:30. 5:30. But and the same hesitation and the same doubt was there also. I can't do that. Nobody gets out at 5. The hours is 9 to 7. Nobody gets out at 5. I'm gonna say, listen, there's people been there 5, 10 years. She's been on the job for about a year. There's people been there 5 to 10 years. They don't even get off at 5. How am I gonna get off at 5? I said, I don't know. But you're gonna have to tell your boss that if you're not out by 5 o'clock, you gotta quit. Went to the boss. The boss said, give me a week, get back with you. Let me see. Next thing you know, lo and behold, it got approved. Out at 5 o'clock. People been there 10 years jealous. How is she out at 5 o'clock? We don't get out at 7. Who she thinks she is?
Here we go.
But you know what the Most High do? He put you in many. That's just one of 1,000 situations where you can't trust your wisdom, and the Most High is going to pull you away from what's comfortable to you, and He's going to determine: do you see the spiritual value in what I'm trying to show you, or you only want to hold on to your eyes and how you see things? Because that's what we do when we're put in those situations. Those situations happen on a minor scale and on a large scale, on a regular basis. But you got to be keen enough to pick up, is this the Most High trying to get me to trust Him? Or is this me depending on how I view things? Because if I saw things how I saw things, I said, man, there's no way that can happen. There's no way that she can be off at 5 o'clock and they're going to be okay with it. Nobody has that schedule. So the Most High said in verse 13, read it again. Verse 14, read it again.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High.
Right, go ahead.
For they are foolishness unto him.
That don't make sense. A lot of things you're going to get told by brothers, elders, men that follow Christ is going to tell you something. You're going to say, you're going to doubt it. You're going to not see the wisdom, troubleshoot it. See, I don't trust it. And that's because you don't agree. Because you don't see it. You don't share the same perspective as of yet. Read on.
Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned.
Read on.
But he that is spiritual judgeth all things.
So he said, but he that is what?
Spiritual judgeth all things.
Because if I'm spiritual, I'll say, how does the Most High want me to look at this situation? Not how I want to look at this situation. How does the Most High want me to see this situation? How does Christ want me to see this situation? Read on.
It says, yet he himself is judged of no man.
It says, yet he himself the judge of no man. Read on.
For whom hath known the mind of the Lord?
It says, for whom, that's a question. It says, for whom hath known the mind of the Lord? Read on.
Nobody.
That he may instruct him.
That he may instruct him. Like you go that you can so you can be instructed. Go ahead.
But we have the mind of Yahushua.
It says, but we have the mind of who?
Yahushua.
So who did Paul say, man, I got the mind of?
Yahushua, Christ.
He said, listen, I got the mind of Christ. He said, this is the best way that I can get to know the Most High, is by having the mind of Christ. How do you know that this is right? Go to the next reader, St. John chapter 12, verse 47.
Oh God, I know. St. John chapter 12.
All you do is read up. Read that.
God. St. John chapter 12, verse 47. And if any man hear my words and believe not, I judge him not. For I came not to judge the world.
He said, listen, if you listen to what Christ is saying. He said what?
And if any man hear my words.
He said, if you listen to my words, if I tell you instruction, if I give you a set of instruction, and you listen to what I tell you, read on.
And believe not.
And you don't believe me, although I told you, although I gave you instruction, although I gave you counsel, I gave you advice, I laid it out in front of you of what your direction is. I told you what to expect or what to do. I gave you a directive. I gave you an order. And you don't believe it. You don't see it right. You don't agree with it. What did Christ say?
I judge him not.
He said, man, am I tripping on you? Am I tripping on you because I gave you instructions, but you didn't see it because you're spiritually discerned, because you don't see the Most High, you don't see it how the Most High see things. You don't see things how Christ see things, so you don't believe it. So am I going to flip out on you?
Wow.
No. He said, am I going to judge you?
I judge him not.
He said, what did Christ say?
I judge him not.
Why? Read on.
For I came not to judge the
Because
world.
Christ said, I didn't come to judge the world. That's not my job. My job is not to be your judge. My job is to get you to see how you can please the Most High if you submit to His way of doing things. That's my job. Submit to the Father's will and execute, plan out the role of one to give us remission of sins. He said, my job is not to judge you. Read on.
But to save the world.
He said, but to what?
Save the world.
Go ahead.
He that rejected me and receiveth not my words.
He said, man, if you don't follow my words, those words weren't mine anyway. I was only giving you whose words? I was only giving you the Most High's words. That's all I'm giving you. You don't got to fight me. You don't got to argue with me. You don't have to not believe me. That's your fault. Because these are the Most High's words. Read on.
It says, he that rejected me and receiveth not my words hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him at that last day.
He said, but now you got to answer for not following my words. When?
In the last day.
You gotta answer for not keeping my words in the last day. You gotta answer why did you have somebody give you biblical instruction on how the Most High thinks and you chose to reject it. You gotta answer for that. Christ said, I'm not gonna trip. I'm not gonna trip. You gotta explain to the Most High why you didn't follow who the Most High put in front of you to see spiritual direction. Read on.
Verse 49. For I have not spoken of myself.
He said, because I didn't write Christ said, I didn't write this.
Yeah.
These are my words, but my words came from where? Read on.
But the Father which sent me.
Who gave me these words that I'm talking to you in? That I'm talking to you with? The Father. I'm just an instrument that the Most High is using to get from Him to you. Just like any other elder. It's just that instrument, that vessel that the Most High is using to speak to you. Read on.
He gave me a commandment.
He said, what gave me what?
He gave me a commandment.
Go ahead.
What I should say.
Christ said, the Most High gave me a commandment for what?
What I should say.
He said, all the words that I'm telling y'all is just nothing more than what the Most High told me to tell you. The Most High told me to give you these commandments. He told me to give you these instructions. These are not mine. So if you don't answer to Him, you don't believe Him, hey, that's on you. You got to deal with that in the judgment. And we're going to find out how this plays out in later on in the class, how Christ revisits some of this perspective of when He's given instruction and we refuse to hear it. We're going to see how that plays out in a few minutes. All right? From there, let's go to St. John 5:30 just to keep on the same point.
St. John chapter 5, verse 30.
Read.
I can
of mine own self do nothing.
What did Christ say?
I can of my own self do nothing.
He said, I can of my own self do what?
Nothing.
He said, man, I don't do what I want.
It's not about me.
It's not about me.
I'm not interjecting my opinion. I'm not. You think Christ wants to just sit here, get tortured out,
Right.
die? That's cool.
And being innocent,
And being innocent.
not deserving it.
Yeah, not
It's
deserving.
one thing when you deserve punishment.
You made your own bed, you gotta lay in it. That's what everybody said, right?
Yeah. It's one thing when you do wrong and you deserve to get corrected, judged, punished, scolded, chastised. It's different when you don't deserve it. Read.
As I hear, I judge.
He said, man, I don't even have I don't walk around with a preconceived notion that I'm correct.
I'm not even prejudging you. People always like, oh, that's how you look at me. You have a problem with me.
As soon as you give them counsel.
Yeah, you have a problem with me. I didn't walk in the room having a problem with you. Christ didn't have a problem with you when he came in the room.
But that's what our people believe.
Come on.
We think it's a matter of it's you against me.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that. That's why Christ said, he didn't walk around with a preconceived notion of, man, he's guilty, she's guilty, he's wrong, she's dirty, he's dirty.
I don't like that person.
I don't like that person. This person polluted. They'll never get it together. They ain't correct. This person gonna go to hell.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't walk around with that perspective, this negative outlook. Read on.
As I hear, I judge.
He says, as I judge based on what you tell me. I listen to you first.
Yeah, God.
And then once you tell me what you're doing, then I'll let you know how the Most High feel about it.
Nobody's putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, nobody put words in your mouth. Nobody's trying to make you feel a certain way. You trying to twist my words up. Christ said what? As I hear, I what?
I judge.
Read on.
And my judgment is just.
And he says, how do you know that my judgment is just? Read on.
Because I seek not mine own will.
He said, because I don't do what I want. That's how you know that my reprimand, my commandments, my judgments, all of it is right, because it's not coming from who? It's not coming from me.
There's no personal interest. When we were in the world, we always complained about everybody had a personal what? Agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody had an underhanded personal agenda.
And you know, back in the day, they'll say, "What's your angle?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the old terminology.
Yeah.
What's your angle? What do you mean? What's my angle? Where are you coming from? What you trying to say? What you getting at?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
What do you want from me?
What is your motive?
What is your motive? You know what I'm saying? So, say again.
What you trying to get into?
Yeah, what you trying to get into?
Why you all looking like this?
Right. So our people got ways of saying, you're looking at me a certain way, and I don't trust the angle that you're coming from. What are you trying to say? I don't get it. What do you get? What are you leading me to? Our people got different ways of not believing the direction, but Christ said, "Listen, man, I don't come with that. I'm only giving you what my Father told me to tell you, and the way I'm judging you and looking at the situation is based on how my Father would look at it." Read that last part again.
And my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will.
He said, because I don't, like Dawiyah said, I don't have my own motive. I don't do what I want to do. Read on.
But the will of the Father, which hath sent me.
What makes Christ so righteous? What makes his judgment so just?
The will of the Father.
Because he submits, man. He submits his mind frame to his head.
Yeah.
That's what makes Christ right. It's not that he's walking around trying to prove everybody wrong. It's the fact that he submits his mind completely to the ones over him, or the one over him is the Father. Just like Paul said, "Be ye followers of me as I am of Christ." He said the head of every man is Christ. The head of Christ is the Most High, and the head of every woman is a man. Everybody got a head. What makes you right is how you follow that head. What makes you right is how you take heed to instruction. You're not right because you have your own framework of thoughts, and you only depend on those framework of thinking. That framework, you're not right depending on your own thought process. You're going to find that out, because the Most High doesn't bless that mentality. Because if you're you can't pour new wine into what? In old bottles. It'll burst. So you can't put a new patch on an old garment. You can't introduce something new if something old is already pre-existing and it's already there, taking up space. It's already occupying that. Because you got to empty out your thinking in order to adopt a new form of thinking.
Right here too. This is a little point. And it says the word natural, right, from the Greek is, I can't pronounce it, right? 5591 if you want to look it up. It says referring to the man who is governed only by his environment, namely his natural or animal instincts.
Yep. Read that again.
It says natural. The word translated natural from the Greek is susikos. Can't pronounce it in Greek. 5591. Referring to the man who is governed only by his environment, namely his natural or animal instincts.
So break that down. It's perfect.
It says this man's unable to understand spiritual truths because he does not possess the indwelling spirit of the Most High. And that's what it says.
Did it give a name?
It's pretty honest. It's breaking down the word natural. I can break it down to understand. It says the man is unable to understand the spiritual truth because he does not possess the spirit indwelling of the Most High. So if I'm going off of my spirit, I'm not going off the Most High spirit.
Right.
It's only two spirits. It's of the Most High, right?
Right.
It's of the Heavenly Father, or it's of the wicked one, right? Everybody has a head.
Which is yours, right?
You got a head, but you say I don't have a head. No, you have a head.
Right.
Your head might not be the Most High.
Or you may not acknowledge your head.
You may not acknowledge your head, right? You may not acknowledge the head you have. But the point is, we fail spiritually. I'm not trying to sound negative, make people feel bad, but we fail spiritually because there's always a lot we don't see.
Right.
We act like we see it all. How many bad decisions, if you can count in your life, from year maybe 15 to whatever current age you are now?
Jesus.
How many times were you right? Blow for blow. That's how I check myself.
Right.
I say blow for blow, I've been right maybe just shy. Man, I got like a 20% ratio, bro. I'm like, I'm 1 for 5 over here.
Yeah, because
So
there's much many.
if I'm 1 for 5, automatically that gives me a like 4 for 5% chance of mistakes.
You know, you always get buyer's remorse when you buy something that you didn't intend to buy and that you shouldn't have bought.
Yeah.
Been there.
And then you look at it, you got it, you take it home, you're like, man, I don't know why the hell I bought that.
Yeah, man. This is a
I
whack.
don't even need that right now.
Exactly.
I'm broke. I ain't got enough money to make it through the rest of the week. But I got these new shoes though. I got this new outfit. I got buyer's remorse. Well, there's all kind of remorse. It ain't just in buying stuff.
That's true.
Okay.
Man, there's relationship remorse.
Yeah.
Relationship remorse.
Why did I even start this relationship?
Yeah.
What because
It's a real one.
I was in my what? What's that definition again?
It says the word natural. It says, namely his natural or animal instinct.
Man, how did I initiate that relationship?
Natural or animal instinct.
Yeah, she was purring. She was purring and I was growling. And there was some animal instinct going on.
Yeah.
It was her perfume.
Yeah.
Flower bomb. It was that flower bomb. Got you.
It was natural.
It was natural.
Natural essentials.
Yes, it's made with black pepper, orchids. It's all natural. But you know, brown sugar. You got hit. You got by your instinct. Your impulse got you. But he's showing you make regrets because that's all you trust is your impulse. But I like what you're saying because that definition shows you that a man depends on all the carnal, instinctive sensitivities that a man possesses.
Environment,
His environment,
natural instinct, and animal instinct.
animal instinct is impulsive because I was lusting. I wanted something so bad, and I want it, and I'm not gonna use discretion. Animals don't have discretion. They don't use rationale and reason. They get something. They figure out how do I get it? How do I get this?
Or professional victims. I was in a low place.
Yeah.
I was in a low place.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good at the time.
That's to shed the blame. You know what I'm saying? That's shed the blame. I don't want to feel guilty about what I do. You had your hand up? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was looking at the name. It says for reasoning, natural understanding, not a sufficient guide in human affairs.
Read it again because we couldn't hear it.
Says reasoning, natural understanding, not a sufficient guide
It
in
says
human
natural
affairs.
understanding is not a sufficient guide for human affairs. That's scary, bro.
It's not good.
That is.
That means that your feelings, your impulses, your lust, the criteria that you use to make a decision is not a sufficient guide to make decisions and say if this is going to work out for the short term, medium term, or the long term. You don't know how this thing is going to work out.
She was 36, 26. I think it's time to have a marriage. I think we should get married.
Right.
She
She gave me
fits
that
the
look, or
measurements.
she gave me that look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we go off that look, man. It was a look.
Yeah.
That look, man.
She had
reason.
That look.
the wet hair.
Yeah.
The hair
Yeah,
looked
reason.
wet.
She bat the eyes.
Yeah.
It was a look.
They were shiny.
She's looking at
Batting
me.
eyes.
Yeah.
And then I can't even bat my eyes, but I got
Yeah.
Chinese eyes, bro.
Next thing I
You know
know,
what I'm saying? She
next
bat
thing I
the
know,
eyes, bro. Just gave you the look. Yeah, the last. The next thing you know, you was trying to link
The
up.
makeup was popping.
Yeah.
in Broken Stick, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's showing you that man that depends on that carnal, fleshly, that immoral, sensual nature, it's not gonna get you far.
Is not unable. Man is unable to understand. This man is unable to understand spiritual truth.
Now, Romans 3:1. That man is not unable. That man is unable to what?
To understand spiritual truth.
He's unable to understand spiritual truth.
Because he does not possess the indwelling spirit of the Most High.
Man, go ahead.
Romans 3 verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Read on.
Much every way.
Read on.
Chiefly, because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High.
It says, what advantage of us knowing that we Hebrews, that we Israelites, what advantage do we have over the rest of the world? It says chiefly every way, meaning what? Most importantly, read on.
Yeah.
God, much every way, chiefly, because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High.
The oracles of the Most High has several different definitions. One of them is divine communication. That means you get to see and understand how the Most High thinks directly from Him. The Most High gave us His thought process to us more than anybody else in the world. We know this from Psalms 147, 19 and 20. We know this from Deuteronomy 4, 5 and 6. We know how the Most High bestowed certain wisdom upon us that He didn't give everybody else. He gave us an advantage because He gave us an insight on how He thinks, how He looks at things. So we don't have to depend on our thought process. He says chiefly in every way. Read on.
Because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High.
And that oracles of the Most High is divine insight.
Come.
The Most High didn't leave us without the notion of not knowing how to think and process His information, or leave us to where we're dependent upon our own impulsive nature to navigate ourselves through life. To navigate ourselves through life. The Most High didn't do that. Go to Tobit chapter 4 and read verse 19.
Before that, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Are the oracles of life also maybe perhaps the promises of the principalities he lays down if you follow them and believe them?
That's the kingdom. But but we know that that there's the Most High did that for us as well. We can read Romans chapter 9, verse 1 through 4, and he says the same thing. Somebody get that real quick, just to answer the brother question.
Romans what?
Chapter 9, verse 1 through 4.
Romans chapter 9, verse 1.
Yeah.
I say the truth in Christ, I lie not.
Read on.
My conscience also bearing me witness,
Read on.
and the Holy Spirit,
Read on.
that I have a great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart.
Paul said, man, the thing that revolves around my heart, the things that I care about, the things that remain as top priority in my mind. Read on.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ.
He said, I wish I could take the place of Christ. I wish I could put myself on the cross. Read on.
For my brethren.
For who?
My brethren.
For who?
My brethren.
Who are they? Go ahead.
My kinsmen.
Who is that? Read on.
According to the flesh.
Who is his kinfolk? According to the flesh. Read on.
who are Israelites.
Paul said, I wish Christ would come down and I put myself in place of him, and I eat that death, and I taste that death for my people, my kinsmen, my brethren, which is who?
Who are Israelites.
Read on.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
And when it comes to those people that the Most High said he would adopt back to himself, those are the Israelites that pertain to the adoption, that the ones that get pulled back to the Father and redeemed back to the Most High. Read on.
And the glory.
And the glory.
And the covenants.
The glory is the kingdom.
Right.
The covenants is the what? The laws.
Mm-hmm.
Read on.
And the giving of the law.
And the giving of the law.
And the services
and
of the Most High.
And the only people ever written in the Bible that's allowed to service or minister to the Most High or do the service of the Most High is who? Or the Israelites. Read on.
And the promises.
And the what?
The promises.
And who's going to receive the promises of the Most High?
The Israelites.
Did the Most High make promises to and for any other nation? No. And read on.
Verse 5.
Yep.
Come. Verse 5. Who are the fathers and who are concerning the flesh.
And when you concerning the flesh that Paul's talking about, the Israelites concerning the flesh, read on.
Christ came.
Christ died for who?
The Israelites.
Christ came for who?
The Israelites.
So salvation is for who?
The Israelites.
It's for the Israelites. All that is Paul is saying. That's who he cares about. That's where his mind is at. That's who the law is for. That's who the glory is for. That's what salvation is for. All these things is for the Israelites.
Really?
Yes.
Salvation ain't for the Gentiles?
No.
What?
That's a whole nother class.
Oh my God.
All right. But they said concerning the flesh whom Christ came, that's who Christ came for, the Israelites. Now, go back, let that go, just to answer that question and go back to where we was at in Romans chapter 3 and verse 3. Who had it? No, I said Tobit 4:19. I want Tobit.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 19.
Read that.
It says, bless the Lord.
It said, bless what?
Bless the Lord.
You supposed to what?
Bless the Lord.
Read on.
Thy power always.
Read on.
And desire of him that thy ways may be directed.
And you supposed to desire who? Whose ways?
The Most High's way.
You supposed to want the Most High's way of doing things more than your own. Read on.
And that all thy paths and counsels may prosper.
It says, and all your paths, the path that you walk on, and all your counsels may what?
Prosper.
So if you bless the Most High, and you're thankful for what he can offer you and what he's able to give you, especially if you know the advantage of being a Jew, which divine communication is given to us, the oracles of the Most High is given to us, that means I don't have to depend on my own way of thinking. I can cast off my own thought process and adopt the Most High's thought process because he gave that to us as an option more than any other nation. More than any other nation, he gave us his way of doing things. He gave us an alternative to doing things other than how we see things, other than our impulses. Like it says, that carnal, that what does it say? That definition of natural.
Yeah, it says the word translated natural from the Greek is basukos 5591, referring to the man who is governed only by his environment, namely his natural or animal instincts. It says this man is unable to understand spiritual truths because he does not possess the indwelling Spirit of God.
So he does not possess what?
The indwelling Spirit of God.
And who did the Most High allow to have that relationship with, where he was giving them divine communication?
Israelites.
It was Israelites, bro. It was the Jews. We get that opportunity to get the most sacred thought process of the Most High, the most intimate relationship from the Father. We get that ability, not the whole world. Read that in 19 one more time in Tobit.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 19. Bless the Lord thy power always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed, and that all thy paths and counsels may prosper.
Read on.
For every nation hath not counsel.
What it say?
For every nation hath not counsel.
So did the Most High give every nation his counsel?
Nah.
No. But who did he give his counsel to?
But the Israelites.
So is it safe to say that I can discard my own counsels? Is it safe to say that I can relinquish the way I do things?
Yes.
That I can cast it off and get the Most High's way of doing things? That's what I should do.
Right.
Because that's what the Most High allotted to us over anybody else in the world. He said for the nations, he said for not all nations, he gave what?
For every nation hath not counsel.
He said they don't got counsel, bro. Everybody didn't get what the Most High gave us. He gave us an advantage where we can say, you know what? This mind frame that I possess, that I've been living with, is unprofitable to me. It's no good for me. It's unhealthy. It's not beneficial to me or my family or my friends. Let me go ahead and throw this mind frame away, and I can go ahead and lock into what the Most High has to offer me.
Right.
And I can learn how to think like the Father. He said he didn't even give every other nation that thought process and that advice. That's the advantage of being a Jew. You can have a new mind frame and a new thought process and a new attitude that comes straight from the Most High. You don't have to lean on your own understanding. You don't have to unless you want to.
You have to be a slave of impulse.
Nope. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 18. Let that go.
Wow.
So we have an option. We're not stuck to having to figure things out and learn things by trial and error.
Ready?
Yep. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 18 read.
Or we don't have to try to start over every 5 years or every 2 years.
yeah.
I got to start over, man. I got to rewrite my life. I got to start from scratch. Wow.
I've been there.
Read that.
Let no man deceive himself.
I said what?
Let no man deceive himself.
Read on.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world,
Go ahead.
let him become a fool.
Let him what?
Let him become a fool.
So what he's saying, what is the Most High saying right here? What is the scripture saying?
Go with what you know.
He's saying that if you lean.
Say it again.
Let go of what you think you know.
Let go of what you think you know, what you got.
That's basically what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So
Like let go of your own way of thinking.
let go of your own.
Everything
It's
you learned prior to this.
It's
Or
easy
let,
to
or
say.
let his ways turn on himself.
Not necessarily.
Not
Read it
necessarily.
again.
Come. Let no man deceive himself.
It said don't lie to yourself. Let no man lie to himself. Read on.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise
If
in
you
this
think
world,
if you think you know something, if you think you have wisdom, if you think you've accumulated wisdom, he says, if any man think himself to be wise in this world, I've obtained a certain level of understanding, or I got wisdom, I got smarts, I got intellect. Read on.
let him become a fool.
Let him what?
Become a fool,
Go ahead. For what purpose?
that he may be wise.
What does that mean?
So he can learn. So he
To
can
be
learn.
retaught?
Yeah, be as if you don't know
What'd you say,
anything, so that
retarded?
you can be
What?
taught something new.
I like that.
Oh.
So he said, say that again.
Be as if you don't know anything, so that you can be taught something new or be trained.
I like that. What you
I was
got?
gonna say, you gotta basically humble yourself so that way you can be taught something else. Because a lot of times that pride get in the way of you learning something else.
That pride will prevent you from learning something new. You know? What you got?
Knowledge puffeth up.
Knowledge puffeth up. It does. It puts you in an arrogant state. So if I hold on to my current state of mind, and I think I know something, it'd be in my best interest to throw it in the trash, so that I can become wise. See, everybody has a certain level of knowledge, and sometimes that level of knowledge only got them so far, and it also gets them to the point where they can only, if I don't agree with the way I see things, if it ain't how I look at it, it ain't right. It doesn't line up. I can't trust it. I can't believe in it. And I don't see how. You got to make it make sense to me, because that's all that pride is. I'm just going to hold on to how I look at things more than what you're trying to show me. Now, even though what you're trying to show me is brand new, I haven't trusted. I haven't learned to trust it yet. It doesn't sound comfortable, but can I believe it? If a man can do this, like that way I said, it sounds easy, but it's not as easy as it may sound. Especially if you've been doing your thing your way for a long period of time. If you haven't been exercising yourself and receiving instruction, and you haven't been exercising yourself and opening yourself up to submit to your elder's direction, and you just been locking into how you see things and do things, it's going to be even that much more harder to submit yourself to a set of thoughts that you don't really believe in, because you don't really agree, because you can't see it. It may sound easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. You know this because you can tell by the rate of growth. The rate of growth will dictate how a person has been receiving instruction. The rate of growth is always slower for those that what? That resist.
Spiritual growth.
But they resist what?
Instruction.
They resist instruction or a new way of doing things.
There's a vulnerability with that.
And yet change, and change you're becoming vulnerable. Because there's a metamorphosis. You got to step out that old shell, that cocoon that you're used to. And you got to come out of that cocoon and expect to go turn into a butterfly. But I've been in this shell, I've been comfortable with this environment. At least I feel safe, because I can at least control a little bit of the things around me, some things around me. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the jeopardy that I put myself in, because at least I know at the end of the day I put myself here.
Right.
So I'm okay with that, because I brought this situation into fruition. So I can trust it a little bit, because I built this castle that I'm in. But he said what?
Come. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise.
That he may what?
May be wise.
Read on.
For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High.
Read on.
For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
You know what the Most High does? He'll let you play out your wisdom, just so it can blow up in your face and show you that your wisdom doesn't what?
Work.
It doesn't work. And that it can't be trusted. He let you play it out. He'll let you take all the time you need to play out your decision making, and through your lens and your perspective, and then smash it at the end, just so you can know, damn, that was a bad idea. Man, I don't know why I did that. Now I got, instead of buyer's remorse, I got decision remorse. I shouldn't have made that decision, man. I regret these decisions, man. I wish if I would have known now what I knew then, if I knew then what I know now. Hindsight is 20/20. Man, if I could go back in time and jump into a time machine, I would have slapped myself. Why'd you make this dumbass decision? Yes, sir.
Yeah. And it literally blew up in your face. The scientific world, how many shuttles and blew up?
Yeah.
Behind their craftiness and their so-called smarts,
Yeah.
literally blew up in your face.
The engineering gone wrong.
Gone wrong.
That's a whole show in itself.
Yeah.
You know, or you know what? When you look at down there every invasive species in America and across the world, it was through somebody's fake agricultural or scientific wisdom. I'm gonna bring a frog in to eat these beetles that's eating my crops. Now this damn frog is spilling some toxin that's killing my crops and poisoning the water.
Taking everything over.
I brought in a damn Nutri-Rat from South America to because it was as a source of because I thought the Nutri-Rat, what the hell they bring that Nutri-Rat in Louisiana for? They said it was supposed to
Eat the weeds.
no, the Nutri-Rat was supposed to offset the they brought it in as an alternative food source. It was brought as an alternative meat. Then it got loose, and then it started burrowing under the swamp, and it's eating all the vegetation in the swampland.
Oh my God.
So now it's destroying the swampland.
Oh yeah.
So now I got this, and I got these Burmese python that I thought was a good idea to let loose in the ocean.
Nice little pet.
Now, or I let these carp go in the ocean. Now these carp are predator fish, and they're eating all the freshwater aquatic local fish. Now it's out of control. I'm bringing these pigs and dogs with me. So now I got these pigs in Madagascar that eat I brought these pigs to Madagascar that eat the eggs of the birds that laid nests on the ground. And now these birds, they have digestive acids in their stomach that germinate the seed of certain trees. Now all the vegetation in the jungle is dying in Madagascar because the trees can't reproduce, because they need that particular bird to germinate the seed for the tree to grow. That's the dodo bird. But it took a dodo to do it, to eliminate the dodo bird. But you can find this. You find the actions of men. I'm just going on what my saying. You can find the actions of men that always backfire. Ecologically, socially. It was a social experiment. We're going to put these people with these people and see what happens. It's Project Living. This environment. We're going to study what happens when we put them in this environment. We're going to study it. We're going to see what happens when we put these. No different than these supercomputers, this AI software that's being released. These learning computers that can actually cut themselves on and cut themselves off.
Killed 26 people in China.
Killed 26 people in China, them robots that they made. All that technology blow up. But the Most High said, not just on an engineering level, on a decision-making level, what happens? Read it again.
Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise.
Go
For
ahead.
the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High.
All the ways of man is foolishness. You just haven't seen it yet. You gotta wait. You gotta wait till the Most High blow it up in your face. Read on.
Come, for it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
Because you thought you were smart. You thought you were wise. You thought you knew what you were doing. He has to let it blow up so you know you don't know what you're doing. He got to humble you down somehow. So he's got to show you that your decision making is really worth nothing. Read on.
Come. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise.
He said, the Most High knoweth the thoughts of the wise. What are the thoughts of the wise? I think I know something. I think I'm smart. That's the thoughts of the wise. I know what I'm doing. Do you really? You think you know what you're doing. But the wise think they know what they're doing. Read on.
Come. That they are vain.
That they are what?
Vain.
Read on.
Therefore let no man glory in men.
See, the Most High don't want nobody to think they damn smart. Because there's something that happens when you think you know something. There's several things that happen. That's what we'll get into in the class. There's several things that start to happen when you think you know something. And they're not good. They're not good things. That's why he said, read on, verse 21.
Come, therefore let no man glory in men, for all things are yours.
It's supposed to be for our understanding, for our edification. He said, the Most High is not with man taking glory, saying, man, look at what I did. Look what I built. That's pride, bro. That's pride. Luke chapter 17 verse 10, real quick. Luke chapter 17 verse 10.
Luke chapter 17, verse 10.
Go ahead.
Luke chapter 17, verse 10. So, likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you.
It says, likewise ye, when ye have done all those things which you've been ordered to do. Read.
Say, we are unprofitable servants.
What does that mean?
You serve not to gain. Much more to do.
True. You serve not to gain. What else?
So much more to do.
Read it again so we understand it.
So likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants.
Why does Christ say when you've done everything you were told to do, you still supposed to come back and say what?
We are unprofitable servants.
Do we understand what he's saying right here?
It's like we're playing catch up, right? Like by the time you just followed or figured out to follow what you're being told, you've only learned how to just follow the basic instructions, but you still haven't learned anything past that. Meaning you're behind in the process of development. So you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to word it the right way. By the time you just figured out the basics, there's a whole nother level that you haven't even reached yet. So you can't trust. You're learning to let go of the way you think just with the basics of the commandments. And then there's a whole nother level of now that you learn letting go. Now there's more to develop. I can't really word it.
Okay, I understand. I understand where you come from, though. Yes, Abad.
The part where it says we are unprofitable servants, that's the point where they're realizing, man, we thought we knew something. We had it wrong this whole time when they actually discover by actually locking into these commandments and they start getting the flow of it, like dealing with the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. It's like, you know what? They look back in hindsight like we thought we knew something, but now we realize we've been unprofitable. We've been crap. Like now we're really on point.
When you follow, that's expanding on what Naga said. Yes, sir.
You only do things when you're told to, not because you love it. You only do because you're told, because you're given an order. I did only because I did an order, not because I knew it was right.
Yeah, that's true. You know what he's saying also? Everybody was saying is building on the same point.
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying is, read it again. I want it to be real clear. Read verse 10.
Luke chapter 17, verse 10. So likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you,
Go ahead.
say, we are unprofitable servants.
What does that do? When you tell yourself, you know what, it's to humble me. Why is that?
Because you admit that you ain't all there.
Even when you follow instructions, you're still supposed to do what?
Humble.
You know what's always in man? The
Right.
disease that's always in man is for a man to receive glory. That was me. We're always on the verge of looking for glory. We're looking for something to be proud about. We're always looking to have an edge, or to say, well, I'm better, or to say, you know what, look at me, look at how I did that.
Venerated.
I venerate myself.
Mm-hmm.
We're always looking for some shine. We're always looking for some acknowledgement. Look, see? Look.
My hands stick.
Look, no, even though if you told me to do it, look
what I did.
I did that right. See? I follow that. I follow what you told me. See? I do everything right.
Give him a week.
You only did what you was told. Why did he's showing you the frequency of what it takes to keep yourself humble. You have to constantly reduce yourself, even in your efforts, even when you think you've accomplished the mission. Even if you accomplish the mission, you got to reduce yourself. Because in our eyes, we're always looking for the glory. We're always looking to exalt ourselves. That's why you gotta be careful with just receiving flattery and accolades. Because it'll tell me, you know what? Hey, I'm on a level. I do this better than. See? Hi. You ever watch kids get a toy that the other kid didn't get? Look what I got. Look what I got.
Yeah.
We got ice cream. We got cookies. You didn't get none.
Or is it extra loud?
Yeah. Because you know what? We cleaned our room. We did what we were supposed to do. You didn't. You didn't get none. So, we always looking. The scriptures say the spirit lusts the envy. We're always looking for an edge, an advantage. We're always looking for something to separate ourselves from other people, to say, look at what I did better. Look at what I did better. Look at what I did greater. Look at the advantage that I had over some person. Nobody can touch me. You can't touch what I'm doing. I did this to a supreme level. I was superb. I was flawless in my efforts. We're always looking to separate ourselves through some type of pride or vaunting our ability. That's why he said, listen, even if you did what you was told and you accomplished the mission, still come back and say what?
We are unprofitable servants.
You know what? You still ain't no good. Because you got to keep yourself in check. Because that flesh is always looking for glory.
And that's how you look at yourself when you become prosperous. That's the way.
No, that's
not
the
prosperous
way
or not.
I mean, that was also a question.
Poor man's
that
like
was
like
also a
rich
question because I want to because God does want to prosper you.
He does.
Correct.
He does.
And if that were to happen, that is the ending result of how you handle your prosperity.
That's the danger. That's the danger. Yeshua said what? Knowledge does what? Puff it up.
Right.
It's the idea that I'm on a level, I'm above, but wisdom does separate you. It does separate you. Go to Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and start at verse 14 in the Bible. Let me grab it first.
No, you're ready, sir.
All right. Yeah, let me put it on the screen too. Read that.
John. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 14. And the day of prosperity be joyful. But in the day
Hold on. It said what?
And the day of prosperity be joyful.
So if the Most High did raise you up and He did bless you, it said you're supposed to do what?
Be joyful.
You're supposed to be what?
Be joyful.
Yes, you're supposed to be joyful. If the Most High blessed the work of your hands, He does, like you said a second ago, the Most High wants to bless you. Or what's the word you use? Prosper. He wants you to prosper. Yes, He does. He said, but be what?
Be joyful.
Be joyful. Read on.
But in the day of adversity.
It said, but every day is not going to be that way. Read on.
Consider.
He said, but in the day of adversity, consider what?
The Most High also hath set one over against. Slack it. I'll read that again. The Most High also hath set one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him.
So, what is he saying right here? Anybody explain what he's saying right here?
Basically, you shouldn't be running after things that you want.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
What is he saying right here?
Basically, you're going to get good with the bad.
Yes, you're going to get good with the bad. Why is that important to know that?
So you don't think that you are the cause of your prosperity?
Yes, bingo.
Okay.
You know what he's saying? Read it again.
God. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 14. And the day of prosperity be joyful.
He said, in the day of what?
Prosperity be joyful.
He said, be joyful, but not what? Not prideful. It's a difference when the Most High is working with you and what you're doing is working and you're happy about it versus when the Most High is blessing you and you're prospering, then you're developing pride. He said, because just know that the Most High set one thing against another. Right. So just as much as you're prospering today, tomorrow you could be what? You could be down. Right. So don't get too high and mighty. Don't exalt yourself too high. Because all you're doing is setting yourself up for what? For a fall. And what he really wants you to understand, read on.
But in the day of adversity, consider.
Go ahead.
The Most High also hath set the one over against the other.
Read on.
To the end that man should find nothing after him.
So you know what he's showing you is? You don't have no control. What the Most High wants you to understand is, whether I prosper you, or whether you're not getting blessed, you don't have control.
He was in control.
I was in control. You got to be mindful. You got to consider that I did all that. Because you'll get to the point where you think you are responsible and the cause of the Most High blessing your hand. You'll somehow say it was me. I did that.
Yeah.
I did that. I caused that prosperity. Yes, sir.
So it said that the man should find nothing after the Most High. There's nothing beyond him. It stops with him.
Right. It stops with him. It stops with the Most High. And so you don't control anything.
Right.
You don't control nothing. You just control whether you follow or not, and stay humble.
That's it.
Do what you're told and stay humble.
Right.
But somehow we'll taste a little success. Things have been working for 10 years. And we'll say what?
Well, look what I did. Yeah.
Look what I'm on the right track, man. Look at me. Look at me.
Started from the bottom.
Look at me. I get a little car. I get a little crib. Man, you can't tell our people nothing, bro. You can't tell our people nothing. They get a car.
Get a little smirk.
Oh, bro, brothers get. That's a whole class in itself, bro.
I see that.
Read on. Where we at? In verse 14.
God, that's all 14.
Read verse 15.
Come, verse 15. All things have I seen in the
You want
day
to
of
grab
my vanity.
Come. Yeah, I just want to pose one point with what you were saying. I want to say earlier, but you're already bringing it out. It goes, what is the word? Unprofitable servants. Unprofitable is akrios, right? That's 888. Some brothers know, so we're not making words up. Akrios, right? 888. The word unprofitable means useless. So when it says we're unprofitable servants, it's saying that we're useless. Meaning this, it wasn't because of you the Most High blessed you. It wasn't because of you, because you were this great guy, you were this glorious person. You weren't Jordan going through a lane in your life. You weren't some this calculating dumb Michael Corleone guy.
Right. Or everything you touch turn to gold.
You're not Midas. It's not you. Because the word unprofitable means useless. So when someone wants that adversity and prosperity, you only have the ability to choose. Adam and Eve have free will, right? We have free will. The Most High judges us based upon your decisions in the spirit. And you're supposed to work hard and bust your ass. You can work 20 years and not get blessed by the Most High. So it's my work. It's like he'll let you work. If you were thinking it's you, he'll let you work for 20 years and not get none of it.
Right.
So this mindset about it's me and it's my point of view got me where I'm at, that's a strong delusion. That's actually a lie.
That's deceitful. Even if I taste a little success, you've been following, you did what you're told, but you still got to keep yourself in check.
Right.
You still got to humble yourself at all times. It's always in man that urge and that itch for recognition. We always got it in us, bro. We always want to be separated and say, look at the glory that I've received. Look at what I've done. Look at what I've accomplished. We always want to add that as an ego stroke. I want to stroke my ego somehow. I'll use anything to stroke my ego. But you can't do it like me.
Exactly.
That's what we do. We'll make a dance and they can't do my dance.
Exactly.
I dance better than you. We'll do anything for an ego stroke. But he's saying that even if you taste a little prosperity and you're doing things right, you better consider, man, that could change at any moment. You really don't have the control you think you have. So don't develop an arrogancy or a haughtiness that can displace you. And we're going to prove that. Read on.
Verse 15?
Yeah, read on down.
Verse 15. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity.
Because Solomon said what? All things have I seen in the days of my what?
Of my vanity.
What did he see?
There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness.
It said there's a just man that still perish what?
In his righteousness.
And it's right. That don't even sound fair, do it?
He's righteous.
I know God wants you to be righteous, right?
He do. He said, but there's a just man that perisheth where?
In his righteousness.
In his righteousness. Does that sound fair?
Maybe he's conceited.
It doesn't sound fair, but
You get taken out.
God's
his thoughts and his
Now,
ways are
first
not
of all, let's put this in perspective. Read verse 20.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20. For there is not a just man upon the earth.
Oh, no.
Big bone.
So as far
Bing
as-
bong.
Right.
There you have it. So, where was he just at?
Nowhere.
In his own mind. He was just in his own mind. Because he tell you right there in the same chapter that there is no just man upon the earth. But so he's showing you that, yeah, it may seem like a man is right, In his own mind? Yeah, it sounds like that.
Alright.
Verse 21, read on.
Well, verse 21.
Yeah, read on, keep reading.
Verse 21. Also, take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee.
Go ahead.
For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise have cursed others.
What is he saying? Read it again so we understand.
Verse 21. Also, take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise have cursed others.
Right.
What is he saying?
It's like believe half of what you hear, and if you hear that somebody, talking behind your back, well, don't be in disbelief because you've done it yourself.
Bingo. Yes, sir.
No.
Okay. He said, why be so shocked that somebody talk behind your back, because you're just as what?
Guilty.
You're just as guilty, man.
But it says in the heart, so that's also in the mind.
In the mind.
Things that you say, you
Right.
don't even have to say out loud. It's stuff you play with in your head.
But it's things you've heard from other people.
Right.
It's like you entertain it. You can entertain it, but guess what? You've entertained negative.
Right.
You're just as dirty as the person that you're separating yourself from.
So I can't look down on someone if they're having a thought, if they're doing something like, oh, he's doing that. But what about me? Like, for instance, if someone has an issue with stealing, my issue may not be stealing, but shoot, I've thought some negative. Or shoot, maybe even I've stolen before. It's that same thing. It says, thou says steal not, does thou not steal thyself? So
Right.
it's the same thing.
You're just as guilty. That's what he said. Yes, sir.
He's also saying, like, don't even give yourself the opportunity to place judgment on someone else.
True. But the judgment is based on a separation.
Right.
See, that's why we base judgment, because we say I'm different. I'm different because I'm better. And that's that mindset that still this is the danger of our mindset is we look at people based upon wanting to be different because we want to be better, because we measure ourselves up to man. That's what we measure ourselves up to. We measure ourselves up to man, not the Most High in Christ. This is why Paul said, we read this earlier. We didn't actually go there, but we might as well go there because Paul was pretty much saying the same thing. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Hold on, I want to get this part right here. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, yes. I want you to get this part real quick. This may be it. Because I want you to get what Paul was saying right here anyway. Let me see.
I have 1 Corinthians 6.
No, give me 1 Corinthians chapter 2. And start at verse 1.
No, this is a lie.
Yes, hold where you at, and you're in Ecclesiastes, right? Hold that. We're gonna read the next verse on that.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 1. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom.
He said, when I came to you, Paul said, I came to you a certain way. He said, I didn't come with the eulogistic speech of an orator to prove myself above you, to separate myself from you, to speak with a condescending tone. He said, I came at you a certain way. Read on.
Declaring unto you the testimony of the Most High.
He said, but when I came to you, teaching you about Christ, I didn't come separating myself like I was better than you, because I knew Christ. Read on.
For I determined not to know anything among you, save Yahushua.
Go ahead.
And him crucified.
He said that what I wanted to leave behind was not such a great man that I am. He said the impression that I wanted to leave behind when I came to you was that my message was about who?
Yahushua.
He said, so I removed myself out of the lecture, out of the persuasion, out of the class, out of the council, out of the teaching, out of whatever Paul was preaching. He said, I left myself out of it. He said, I didn't include none of my own wisdom. I didn't want you to say, man, what a great man that is. I don't want you to say, man, that man is a great speaker. He said, man, any aspect of me, I took out of it. But I wanted to deliver the message to you. But the impression that I wanted to leave on you was just who? Christ. When I taught and I preached to you, I wanted you to just know Christ. I don't care if you know me. He's saying I removed myself out of it so that you could get a full dose of Christ. So you can get a full dose of Christ and not me. Yeah, I hate this damn serious shit. But go ahead.
And I was with you in weakness.
He said, but I came to you in what?
In weakness.
He said, why did I come to you in weakness? So you don't exalt me in any kind of way. So you don't big me up and give me props. Oh man, that's great, bro. Have you ever heard of Paul? Man, you heard that dude Paul?
He's amazing.
Man, he was in Cappadocia. He was in Ephesus. Man, wait till he come through here.
And he used to be one of the top Pharisees back then.
He was in Philippi. Yes, sir.
And let's say he came to you and came to them in weakness. What does it mean?
Meaning he came without him being put on display. Meaning he didn't want himself to gain any kind of attention, notoriety, recognition. I'm going to give you an example. Camps of Israelites bang on each other. Why? Pride. They always down talking other camps. Is it not one Christ? Are we not all Hebrews?
Right.
But y'all, I got these breakdowns. Y'all don't got these breakdowns. We do Saturday class like this. Y'all don't. Y'all don't have the teacher that we got. We got Commanding General so and so. Or we got this brother.
Greatest man on earth.
The greatest man on earth.
Greatest man ever to walk the earth besides Christ.
Yeah. Greatest three. Yes, three of them. Three greatest men on earth. Yeah, but you know
Or
this.
got the voice of God.
Or the voice of God.
Some men call themselves the voice of God.
Or we got the comforter.
So take that.
We already played this game. Israel loves to play this game.
Israel will be high and mighty in a heartbeat, bro. In a heartbeat. That's why Paul said, "Man, I'm not coming to you with no authority, nothing that you can say. Look at me." Why did Christ come with a man of no reputation? Nothing that you want, that you can say, "Man, I want to be like him. I want the cheekbones. I want the height. I want, you know." But Christ, never mind all that.
It's almost
And he also came on a donkey.
Not a horse.
Not a stallion.
almost the opposite of us.
Yeah, but you know, not them Clydesdales, them damn 10-foot damn horses, them damn Anheuser-Busch horses.
Not a camel.
Yeah, but I'm talking about something glorious, bro. He didn't come in on something like that. He came in on a donkey. Why did he reduce himself?
To sidestep the glory.
Stay humble.
Right, it's to stay humble. Because people will lock into that, his glory,
And miss the whole.
message. Because that's what happens when people big themselves up. That's why Paul said, "Man, listen, I'm coming to you in a certain way because I'm not trying to interfere with what I'm trying to show you and tell you." You'll get caught up. People will get caught up with people. People get caught up with, man, he preach a good message. That's what we do in church.
This is Reverend Dr.
Yeah, Reverend Dr. Bishop the Third of Greater First Abernathy, Mount Zion Holy Antioch Baptist Church. First
Zion. Zion. Put Zion in there.
Yeah, first admission of Zion. All that is a title. But Paul is saying, listen, I came to you in what? In weakness, bro. So you don't focus on me. I'm not the focus. Don't make me the focus. Read on.
And in fear.
And in what?
And in fear.
I didn't want to make a mistake. I came in fear because I didn't want to say nothing
I
wrong.
wasn't bold in imputing my will to be worshipped or to be idolized.
Because our people will do that quick. We'll make an idol out of anybody. If they sound good, look good, you know, that's Pastor so-and-so. If they got a title, if they dress nice, our people are quick to make a deity out of somebody.
Yeah.
That's why Paul said, man, I didn't come like that. He said, he knows his people. Read on.
And in much trembling.
He said, I came in much fear. Because you know what? I was cautious. I didn't come like I knew it all. Read on.
And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom.
He said, I didn't use a bunch of big words, man. I didn't use a lot of smart. I didn't use smart words.
Just because.
Yeah, just so I can sound smart.
Smarter than
Oh,
you.
even though he could have.
He could have used it,
Yeah.
but he didn't. He chose not to.
Right.
He chose not to. What is he doing? He's taking his ego out of it. He's taking his reputation out of it. Read on.
But in demonstration of the Spirit and of power.
He said, but only thing I want to leave with you is the message and what I was saying. The power that the Most High raised up Christ for his sacrifices. The power of persuasion that if you believe in Christ, you'll be raised up too. Read on.
That your faith should not stand.
He said, I took away his, which he could have said, if anybody's a Hebrew, he said, well, am I not a Hebrew? I'm a Hebrew of the Hebrews. Was he not a Pharisee? He said, touching the law, he said, flawless, blameless. So Paul could have bragged on any or boasted on any of his accomplishments. But he said for it to be necessary that I don't get no glory and that you don't misinterpret the message and you don't lock into the messenger. He said, I came a certain way so that what?
So that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men.
So that your faith doesn't stand in what?
The wisdom of men.
Because that's what men will always try to obtain or look at.
And pretend like they don't want.
Bro, a lot of people want the seat of authority. They want the seat to be on a podium. They want to lead a congregation. But I'm gonna tell you this, bro. It ain't as easy as you may think.
Amen.
Because people see one side of it. They see, oh, you got the people's attention. Like the brother that knocked on the door when we was on St. James, next to the liquor store. Knocked on the door. I'm about to let him in for class. I'm thinking he coming in to see what's going on in the class. He said, I just got one question, brother. I said, what's up, man? How'd y'all get all them women in order?
That's all he wanted to know.
That's all he wanted to know, bro.
Simple.
How'd y'all get all them women in order? How y'all get them women in order like that? I said, well, when you're in order with your head, with your husband, which is Christ, I said the Most High will have those women be in order with you. And that was it. That was silence. Silence.
Right, that was he didn't want to hear that answer.
He didn't want to hear that answer, bro.
Right.
You know, because then he started reflecting on himself. Because when you're in order with the Most High, then the Most High do that. But you know, people don't want to hear that. They just want the benefits. They want the benefits without the sacrifice. But what Paul said is, I don't want you to think that the wisdom of the Most High stands in the glory of men. I don't want you locking into no man or the wisdom of men. That's why Paul said, I removed all the big words, all the fanciness about it. All this he took away.
And men want to use that statement because men like to almost misextract the statement of you have to follow men.
Yeah.
So they can follow themselves.
And
they're a man.
And they're a man.
You're a man too.
Right.
I don't want to follow men, but you're a man.
But I
don't follow men, but you gotta hear what I gotta say, and you gotta do what I tell you to do.
Right. But I expect you to follow.
This is the game that I had to hit that point because men. I've heard this argument for years.
Mm-hmm.
For years, men love this little game. I don't follow no man. But you see this talk to the air, bro. You just talk to the sky. I'm waiting for the spirit to talk to me. You know what it really is? That it really is. The Most High makes you follow a man, but who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for that man? When you serve your husband, you serve your husband because he's him, or you serve your husband because Christ said that.
And if you're serving your man because he's just him, he's just that guy, it ain't gonna last long.
It's not gonna last because you fell in love with a man. You're supposed to fall in love with Christ. Or if you're serving your elder, are you serving your elder because he's 5'6" or 6'5", or he has the braids out? That's what you're looking at. He sounded wise and he had the braids out. Or are you following him because Christ? He gave the word of Christ, and because you love Christ, you're gonna follow the Spirit.
Right.
Because you love Christ. What's your reasoning for following the Spirit?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
Because people look at men, and that's the excuse to not follow Christ.
Yep.
Well, this man sinned. Like everybody don't sin on planet Earth. Listen, you're supposed to follow the righteousness that man projects and pushes.
his
but
demonstration.
nobody
of Christ.
told you to commit adultery. If he commits adultery, nobody told you to do it too. Well, my head did, so why am I not allowed? I'm following men.
Or if he do commit adultery, you just don't believe in nothing no more.
Yeah, the Bible's not true anymore. Christ is not black anymore because this guy's wicked. The Bible's still the Bible regardless. We make this about men. We make it about men and not Christ. And we don't make it about the Bible. We're missing the point of the whole spiritual thing. The whole spiritual thing, the Most High said, my word is spirit, my word is truth. His words are spirit, his words are life. What gives you life? When the teacher's teaching you, what's he teaching you? Are we teaching the word of Shamshuan?
Right.
We're in the book of Shamshuan, chapter 15.
Because in the Quran, in the Muslim religion, Islam, you got the Quran and then you got the Hadith.
There you go.
You got the so-called tenets of the sunnahs of Muhammad, and then you got the lifestyle of Muhammad. We don't have another book. The book stands alone. The Bible stands alone. We don't have a book to tell you to follow our lifestyle. Everything that we need to follow is in the Bible. It stands on its own. Paul said, "Be ye followers of me, as I am of you, and I am of Christ."
Exactly.
So all Paul is saying right here in Corinth, is he just saying, listen, I had to come at you a certain way so you don't lock into me. I want you to lock into the message, not the messenger. Because a lot of us want that glory of sitting in a seat of authority. And Paul knows that. Yes, sir.
That point that you said about, Christ had to come on that donkey because he knew he was going to be doing great things on the earth, healing people, doing all this magical, majestic stuff. And the people would not, if he would have came with one of them big stallion horses or anything elaborate, they wouldn't have followed. They would have been stuck on that and not the message.
Right. They would have immortalized him, deified him as a god.
Can I put one point real quick? Mm-hmm. This is perfect what you're saying. Acts 14 verse 15, and I'm gonna be quick. I'll read it myself to make it faster. Acts 14, right? Verse 9. And
I got you.
okay.
Acts 14 and verse 9.
So you can see how our people love to deify men, but not understand you got to follow the spirit of Christ through your husband, or through your teacher, through your elder. All right.
God. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him and perceiving that he had faith to be healed.
So the man had faith to be healed, right? We came here because we want to be what? Spiritually healed. Read.
Said with a loud voice, stand upright on thy feet. And he leaped and walked.
And the man, because he believed, because he had faith in the Most High. The teacher taught, but the man had faith in the Most High. So the Most High healed him because he had faith in the almighty power of Christ. Right? Verse 11.
And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men.
Here we go. Paul taught them the Bible, the word of Christ, and the people said, the gods have come down from us in the likeness of men. You missed the whole point, bro. You have faith in the almighty power of Christ, the Most High, and now he's a god and like some men. Keep reading. Still keep going.
And they call Barnabas Jupiter.
They call Barnabas what?
Jupiter.
Man, that guy's Jupiter.
Yeah,
he's Jupiter.
That's a Roman god.
Yeah.
Read on.
And Paul, Mercurius.
So Paul was Mercury. Barnabas was Jupiter, and Paul was Mercury. Read on.
Because he was the chief speaker.
So the chief speaker is Mercury. Read on.
Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates.
And here comes the gifts.
Here comes the worship.
Here comes the worship, man. Oh man, you're this great guy.
You're a God sent down from heaven, from the heavens.
Because they heard his speech.
And that's how quick our people are to
Right.
be. They're so superstitious.
Right.
We're so superstitious. That must be a God in the flesh.
Listen,
That's why Paul knew this. That's why Paul said, I didn't come this way. Because he already know how people would try to immortalize him and deify him. And set him on high and miss the point.
Go
ahead.
Keep reading.
And what I've done sacrifice with the people. which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of, they rent their clothes.
They said, "Whoa, what they're doing?" They're eating some lunch out, getting some food out.
Yeah.
They come back outside. Everybody got gifts and horses and all kind of.
Call them Jupiter
ready to
and
praise.
Mercury.
Yeah, people ready to praise him out, and they rip their clothes out. Like, listen, bro, this is not what we asked you to do. This is the opposite of what we're asking you to do. Read on.
And ran in among the people, crying out and saying, Sirs, why do ye these things?
Why are you doing this? Read.
We also are men.
We are what?
Are men.
We are also what?
Men.
Men with what?
Of like passions.
Of
with
like
you.
passions with you. We're just men. It's the scriptures, but it's not going to be a ghost holding the Bible up. It's going to be a brother or a man giving you the Bible.
Huh?
How come we can't see the Bible? Why does it got to be Jupiter? Why does it be Mercury?
Is that part of the light passions he was talking about? Passions?
You said we're just regular people, bro.
We're humans.
Yeah. So we want to see you as somebody,
Yeah.
like a god, like
the,
Jupiter.
The people do. That's what they did.
Okay.
They exalted them as if they were gods that came down out of heaven, out of the heavens. But that's our people, though.
Yeah.
Our people would do that to their pastors. They do it to their religious figures.
Yeah.
Anybody holding the Bible, that must be a godly man. They don't know how to try the spirit by the spirit. They just see this man talking a certain way, and there goes the worship.
It's the honorable
Yep.
Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
I think it's for Paul and Barnabas also. If you look at it, for a lot of our people, it would be easy to accept this glory and honor. It's tempting. You know what I'm saying? Oh, shoot, you're willing to like do whatever I say. You know what I'm saying? It's tempting for a lot of them, but they didn't do that. But they could have. It's easy for a lot of our people to accept that it's tempting.
That power is tempting.
God.
It is. It's tantalizing. It's invigorating, stimulating, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's but that's not what Christ wanted you to follow.
God.
That's not what Paul wanted you to follow. Paul didn't come like that. Christ didn't come like that. That's why he's saying that we have to be careful about that itch and that desire to want to be on a level. Because it's in us somehow, some way, where we want to be recognized a certain way. We want to be talked to a certain way.
We want to be respected.
We want to be respected a certain way.
And revered.
Revered, all those things.
No,
So that's why I said, now let's go back to where we was at in Ecclesiastes. Whoever got it, chapter 7.
Chapter 7,
verse 21.
Ecclesiastes chapter.
Ecclesiastes.
Who had it?
God in the Bible.
I take it.
I thought y'all had it.
I got it. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 21.
Read that.
It says, Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee.
Go ahead.
For oft times also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others.
He said, knowing you yourself likewise have what?
Cursed others.
So you just as what?
Guilty.
You're just as guilty. You're no different than anybody else. But we so often try to separate ourselves and find an advantage over somebody. And that's what that pride is all about. Read verse 15 now.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 15. It says, All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness.
So now we know he already said in verse 20 that there is nobody righteous. So what does he mean by verse 15? Go to Ezekiel 33 and read verse 13. What does he mean when he says that a just man perishes in his righteousness? So we know that he's not talking about that there's a righteous man on earth. He just said there's none, and he knows that. So what does he mean by that in verse 15? Read Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 13. Read that.
God.
Ezekiel 33.
16?
13.
13. Come.
Chapter 33.
God, Ezekiel 33, 13.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 13. When I shall say to the righteous that he shall surely live, if he trusts to his own righteousness.
Now we understand that righteous man mistakes, because there's nobody that's righteous. But the danger that he's talking about is when a righteous man does what?
Trust in his own righteousness.
That means what?
perspective.
What does that mean?
You
Trust himself.
that's pride because you're not willing to follow the Heavenly Father.
Because you've had a little success, you've been doing things the right way for a short amount of time, but instead of calling yourself that unprofitable servant, you start thinking what?
You gas yourself up.
You're supposed to have kept yourself in check.
Put yourself on a level. Fake level.
Now you put yourself on a level. They said when the righteous, he trusted in his own righteousness. Go ahead.
And commit iniquity.
Why did he commit iniquity?
Trust in his own righteousness.
Blew himself up.
In what way though? How?
Pride or destruction.
He didn't know his first trust was in himself.
He didn't think he
God.
needed to. He didn't pattern his course of thinking off of anything other than his own perspective.
I see that. What else? Something else.
He
Yes.
lost his humility.
He lost his humility. In what way?
Because he
not staying humble to the Heavenly Father, and you start following your own way, that means you're not following the Most High no more. So you lost that humility. Now you back to that pride.
Okay, he lost his humility. Yes, sir.
He thought he was flawless.
Okay, what happens is when you're on point for a while, or you do things right, you don't keep yourself humble, and using words like Christ said, after you've done what's been commanded of you, say to yourself, I'm an unprofitable servant. Like that way I brought out unprofitable being useless.
Amen.
If you don't keep yourself in check, what man starts to do is man starts to give themselves credit with the Father. They start giving themselves credit. Like, I can do a certain thing, and the Most High will let me slide.
Right.
The Most High He won't sting me for this because I've been on point for this long. What we think is that the Most High could give us a credit card for sin.
Right.
And a credit card for mistake. Like I've got an 850 credit score. I can make this purchase and really not bother me. They trust me. They know I'm gonna pay it back. They know I'm good for it.
Might go down 10.
That's like me telling the Most High, I can make this mistake and I can do this sin, but the Most High knows I'm good for it, so He ain't gonna do nothing about it. He should let this one slide, because look at my track record. My track record has been on point for so long. Why would the Most High sting me for this? I've been on point. I've been doing great. Read that again.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 13. When thou shalt say to the righteous that he shall surely live, if he trusts his own righteousness and commit iniquity, all his righteousness shall not be remembered.
But you know what the Most High got to do with men? He don't give no man no credit for mistakes. You don't get no credit for sin. Something told you, which is that pride, that it was okay to make that mistake. That's the mistake that a righteous man make. You don't keep yourself humble by saying, I'm that unprofitable servant. You start gloating, you start boasting, and you think you start separating yourself and saying, I've been doing things right, I'm beating my chest. Ecclesiasticus 5 and 2. Somebody read that real quick. Somebody else get Jeremiah 17 and 5. Somebody else get Ecclesiasticus 7 and 8.
Ecclesiastes 5 and 2.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Follow not thine own mind.
What does it say?
Follow not thine own mind.
What is the damage that even a righteous man, a mistake that a righteous man will even make?
Follow not thine own mind.
He'll start following his own mind, because once you've been successful for a little while, you start thinking that you got the hang of everything. You don't have to follow anymore. Men think that because I've been in the truth for 10, 15, 20 years, I don't have to follow anymore. Man, I've been around, I got more breakdowns than you. I don't got to follow anymore. I got more classes than you. I don't got to follow anymore. I've been around since this person was here, or since the camp was this name. I don't have to follow anymore. Men start developing this idea that they no longer have to follow. Pride does that. Pride is deceptive, because you didn't keep yourself in check. Nobody says, you know what, I'm still useless. That the Most High said our righteousness are as filthy rags. I don't look at it like that. I look at my success. I look at what I've done right. I look at the fact that I haven't made that many mistakes. Or I'm comparing myself to somebody else, and I exalt myself above that other person. When we just read in Ecclesiastes 7, I'm just as guilty as that person. Right? Read.
Come. Ecclesiasticus 5:2. Follow not thine own mind, and thy strength.
And what?
And thy strength.
And that's why we said Jeremiah 17:5. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5 reads, Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm.
What does that mean?
He trusts in his own power, which is his arm.
His arm represents his what?
Power.
His power, his strength,
That's what he can do.
his abilities.
What he can create.
Right. So I start thinking that my way got to be right.
Look at my arm.
Look at what I've built.
God. Yeah.
Look at what I can handle. Look at what I can hold. Look at what I can do. I start smelling myself. And he says, Cursed is the man that does what?
Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm.
Now we forget this other side. Read.
And whose heart departeth from the Most High.
We forget that other side. Why does a man start to trust himself and boast about himself and not be able to follow anymore?
Because he leave away from the thoughts of the
Because his mind, his humility, started to do what? Depart from the Most High. That man has already separated himself and disconnected himself from humility, from following the Most High. He no longer feels like he has to follow. We start to tell ourselves when we get to disconnect from following our heads. We get to tell ourselves, I've had enough. I don't got to do this no more. I'm exempt. I'm at a level where I should be recognized for my efforts and my work. When in actuality, you should be looked at as an unprofitable servant.
Yeah.
So this is the mistake that even that righteous man make. He starts to look at himself and start attributing his success, his dominance, or his consistency with his own strength. Yes, sir.
We keep a portfolio of our successes.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Versus throwing them in the trash. Because you know what's? It's always in us to want some glory. It's always in us.
Definitely been there.
Read.
And whose heart departed from the Most High.
And that's the man that starts to lean towards his own strength. Read that again and let that go. Go back to Ecclesiastes 5:2. Read that one more time.
Come, Ecclesiastes 5:2. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength, to walk in the ways of thy heart. And say not, who shall control me for my works?
It says, say not what?
Who shall control me for my works?
I don't have a head.
Who shall control me for my works?
What makes a man think that he doesn't have a head? And I don't got to follow nobody.
Oh, when he's in all the way into himself.
When he gets into himself. when a man starts feeling that he's righteous and that he's on a level and I'm greater than, and I don't make those mistakes that those people make. Now, this man is separate from the Most High. Now the Most High looks at him and says, listen, I'm going to have to, all your righteousness, since you think you got a license to be a certain way and make mistakes, I'm going to forget all your righteousness. Now you got to start over. You're just as polluted as anybody else. You're just as dirty. Please hold that in 5 and 2, and we're going to hold that and go to 7. 7 and 8.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, verse 8.
Read that.
It says, bind not one sin upon another.
The first mistake was what?
Binding one sin upon another.
What was my first mistake?
Trusting your heart.
Trusting in who?
Me.
Trusting in me.
So,
That was my first mistake. My second mistake is what? Read on.
Bind not one sin upon another.
Go ahead.
For in one thou shalt not be unpunished.
You'll be punished for every single mistake. Don't ever. The first mistake is trusting in yourself and your own wisdom because you've been consistent for a while, or you've had a little bit of success, or glory, or praise, or you've been on point, or you haven't made a lot of mistakes. Read on.
Verse 9. Say not, the Most High will look upon the multitude of my oblation.
That's the second mistake, is to expect the Most High to do what?
Look upon the multitude of my oblations.
Go ahead.
And when I offer to the Most High power, he will accept it.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that the Most High won't just steam me one time for all my sins that I've done? He gonna steam me each individual time for everything I've done?
Everything. Everything. He'll sting you for everything you've done, and you got to answer for it. All things shall come to the judgment. He said, even every idle word.
I was gonna say that's the things that I've said out loud or things that I've held in my mind.
Everything. Whether you've done it secret or done it or out in the open, the Most High He's gonna reveal it in the last days. But he's saying that the mistakes that I make is, first of all, I start leaning on my own strength. Then I start expecting the Most High to give me some type of credit for mistakes. And then I start telling myself, well, if I just do this one mistake, it ain't going to be that bad. And all I got to do is ask for forgiveness. All I got to do is pray about it. And the Most High going to forgive me anyway. Now I start expecting the Most High to use sin like a credit card.
Lasciviousness.
Read it again so we understand.
Ecclesiasticus from the top.
From verse 8 and 9.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 7
verse 9 mostly.
Verse 9. It says, "Say not, the Most High will look upon the multitude of my oblations, and when I offer to the Most High power, he will accept it."
So now we expect the Most High to do what?
Accept it.
Go ahead.
Verse 10.
No, that's it. So we expect the Most High to accept what we give him. As if the Most High is not going to there's not going to be a repercussion for our actions. Our big mistake is what pride does. Pride makes you feel like you got credit with the Father. That's what pride does. It makes you feel like you can make mistakes and they're not going to be as bad. It's not that bad. I can do a little dirt because I've been good for a while. And it's not going to be that bad. That's not true. That's the deceitfulness of pride. I think that the Most High is okay with my actions because I've been doing what I've been told. I've been on point. I haven't made such and such mistakes. So I'm good. I'm in the clear. You know you're not. You're not in the clear. That's the danger. Luke, give me this in Luke chapter 18 verse 9. Pride is very deceptive. Luke chapter 18 verse 9.
Luke chapter 18 verse 9. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves.
He said Christ had to put together a parable for people that do what?
Trust in themselves.
That trust where?
In themselves.
This whole parable that Christ put together was for people that do what?
Trust in themselves.
Go ahead. So there's two things that happen when a person starts to get prideful, when they don't keep their pride in check. Number one, I think I have credit for mistakes. Number two, I think I can give the Most High whatever and he'll forgive me. I'll say a third thing. Number three is what?
Trust in themselves.
And what else? Read on.
That they were righteous.
That they were what?
That they were righteous.
Read on.
And despised others.
What's the other thing that happens
major.
When you don't keep your pride in check, when you don't stay humble, when you think it's you that is the architect of your success, and when you think the Most High can give you credit for mistakes?
This is always the next step.
There's always another level. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say they start to look down on their own people.
That is the progression of pride.
Yeah.
Pride has a progression. Not keeping yourself in check, it just doesn't stay one way. You start stacking and multiplying sins. Anytime you inherit pride, here comes the multiplication of sin. For one, you start to depart from the Most High, number one. You tell yourself that you can do what you want and it's not going to be that bad. And the Most High is going to forgive you. And then you start to hate the people and despise and look down on the people around you.
Because I'm so great.
Because I'm so great. So pride is like a three-way sin, man.
Wow, bro. It's a triangle.
It's a triangle effect, man. It's a triangle offense. Right? Like what's his name used to run the LA Lakers basketball. Not Pat Riley, but Phil Jackson. Yeah, he run a triangle offense on you. So that's what pride does. It's a three-way offense. You've departed from the Most High. You expected the Most High to give you credit for sin, and you start treating people like crap. That's how dangerous it is. Read on.
2 men went up into the temple to pray. The one a Pharisee, and the other a publican.
So it's showing you that 2 different statuses. One is a Pharisee, that's a teacher, a leader of the people, and the other one a what?
A publican.
A publican is a sinner. A person that don't know the law, don't keep the law, don't follow the law. Read on.
The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are.
Because this guy doesn't have the ability or self-awareness to identify the spirit of his conscience. I don't have the ability to I say things and I can't see the statements I'm making if they're off. That's the scary part about pride.
Yep.
A person with pride can never see how they're off
or hear how they sound.
They can't. Do you see how you sound right now?
They don't hear the danger in what they're saying.
The Most High is the ear of jealousy. He hears everything. And you're not in the conscience that the Most High is judging the words in my head. People play this game like God doesn't hear your internal conversation. This is about this man's internal conversation, and Christ is judging it. People they can just talk any kind of way in their head, like the Most High don't hear it.
I had a homeboy like that, and he was and it went from pride to being so conceited. All of his conversation was about him and how he's this and how he got it like that and this. I mean, all of it. And after a while I looked at him, I said, I feel,
we do it too.
Yeah, we all do it. But
we're
this guy
not
did
aware.
it to an extreme.
We are not conscious of the Most High being the ear of jealousy and hearing that unrighteous conversation that we play with in our mind. And no one can hear me. Nobody can hear what I'm saying. I keep it to myself.
Yep. So hold where you at, Yeshaya. And somebody give me Ecclesiastes chapter 18. Read verse 23, but Yeshaya, you read verse 11.
Right now?
Yeah.
The publican stood up and prayed.
It says the publican stood up and said what?
And prayed.
And prayed. So 2 men went to pray, right? 2 men went up to the temple and prayed. Read verse 9.
Right?
Verse 9. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves.
Read on.
That they were righteous.
Go ahead.
And despised others.
Read on.
2 men went up into the temple to pray. The one a Pharisee, and the other a publican.
Read on.
The Pharisee stood up and prayed thus with himself.
He said, this is what the Pharisee prayed within himself. But what does this verse say in Ecclesiastes 18 and 23?
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 23. Before thou prayest.
It says what?
Before thou prayest.
What are you supposed to do before you pray?
Prepare thyself.
You supposed to do what?
Prepare thyself.
Read on.
And be not as one that tempteth the Most High.
It says you better prepare yourself and be not one that does what?
Tempteth the Most High.
How can you tempt the Most High in your prayer? Yes, sir.
By just in the mindset that you can just step to him any old kind of way you want. Like you don't got no real respect. You can just come out your mouth, just come out the side of your mouth and just say whatever the hell you don't got the respect enough to prepare a proper prayer and a proper approach. You don't have no real respect. You just saying whatever. You just think you can step to him however you want.
You know how people step to the Most High, come to the Most High however they want?
I know they hear me.
They pray to the Most High without acknowledging their own faults.
God. No confession, no asking for forgiveness, no sorrow.
Well, they come to the Most High with no ability to see themselves and their mistakes.
God.
I pray to the Most High, but none of my prayers have anything to do with me being wrong. None of my prayers have anything to do with me being a sinner.
No humility.
not praying for mercy or for long suffering or for forgiveness.
None of those things.
You're praying for, for thanks and giving thanks and for anything, the wrong thing or even the right thing, but you're not asking for mercy. You're not praying for mercy.
You're not coming from a sinner's perspective. You're praying to the Most High, but you're not coming as one who's in debt, who has made mistakes. That's how we come to the Most High and tempt the Most High, as if we're not at fault, like we're not wrong. You tempt the Most High when you can't see yourself, but you want the Most High to do something for you. But you want something. You want the Most High to do something for you to your advantage, while you're being a disadvantage to the people around you.
Right.
That's what he's saying about before you even pray, you got to have your issues well mapped out and acknowledging your sin to the Most High. Now read that where you at in Luke.
Verse 9.
Verse 11.
Verse 11. The Pharisees stood up and prayed thus for themselves. God, I thank thee that I am not as the other men are, extortioners.
He said other men are what?
Extortioners.
He didn't say he was an extortioner. He said, I prayed that I'm glad I'm not like other men. Other men are what?
Extortioners.
He said other men are extortioners. Did he once say what's wrong with him? Read on.
What's missing in this conversation?
Yeah, what's missing in this prayer?
Unjust.
He said, I'm glad, Lord, that you made me not like other men. Extortioners, unjust, what else?
Unjust, adulterers.
Man, other men are adulterers. Other men are unjust. Other men are extortioners. Read on.
Or even as this publican.
Or even as this man standing right next to me.
Listen to prayer.
How can I? What is missing in the prayer? Himself, bro.
Right.
That's the danger. That's the danger of men when they develop pride. They can't see themselves. They can't see their own flaws. It blinds you from your own errors and your own mistakes. That's I gotta read this right here. Hold on. Read this for me, bro. Read this for me, Mr. Elisha. Read this. Gaius, right here. It says Gaius. Read that. It's a follow page. What page is this?
763.
Read that. 763. The follow. Read that.
Gaius.
This is Caligula. This is about the Roman. That's Caligula. Gaius is Caligula. He said. So he said, this is Caligula.
But Gaius, looking upon every admonition.
He said, looking upon every admonition. Go ahead.
As an insult.
He said, this man said, if you gave me an admonition, meaning not necessarily correction, but if you gave me acknowledgement or something that you're warning me from, a warning, it's correction, but it's a mild warning. Admonish, to admonish somebody means to correct mildly. That means not even if you attack me, just if you mildly give me some correction. Like if you tell me, hey man, do you mind, just curving the cuss words just a little bit? We got some women and kids in here. If you even just admonish me on a soft level, a small level, correct me any kind of way, it's soft, it's mild. That's what admonishment is. So it's a mild correction. Go ahead.
It says, you take it as an insult.
Read it one more time.
Gaius, looking upon every admonition as an insult.
He said he looked at every single correction as a what?
An insult.
But that's a mild. But admonishment is a mild correction. It's soft. He said he looked at it as a what?
As an insult.
You're insulting me.
Right.
Why would somebody not be able to take the smallest correction? Read on.
Because he fancied that he himself was the wisest.
He said
Oh, he liked that picture.
because he played with the idea that he was the what?
Wisest.
He's the wisest, bro. Wow. This is why Caligula put so many people to death and couldn't his own family, his own friends, his own cabinet, his own senators, his own family members, relatives, in-laws. He put everybody to death around him because you couldn't tell him nothing because the disease that this man possessed was that he was the what?
The most wisest.
He thought he was the wisest. What else?
And most virtuous
And the
of all
most
men.
and the most virtuous of who?
All men.
Of all men. This is what pride does to a person.
Right.
You can't tell him anything.
Right.
Not even the smallest criticism.
Right.
Not even the slightest criticism. You can't expect a person that's developed pride to digest even the little things. Because they'll tell you, man, I already know that already.
Yeah.
Why you telling me?
Right.
What you telling me for? Don't you know what I've been through? Don't you know what I know? Don't you know what I've accomplished already?
Don't you know who I am?
Don't you know that
I know what you're gonna quote already.
I already know where you're going. I already know what Bible verse you're gonna pull. Because in my eyes, I'm the wisest. I'm the smartest. I'm the most intellectual. I'm the most virtuous. In my eyes, you can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Because of who I am.
Right.
And how I see myself. Read that again. Yeah, just from the top so we can flow with it.
But Gaius, looking upon every admonition as an insult.
Because that's what our people do. Our people are notorious. It ain't just him. He's a Roman. But our people do this.
Right. Right.
They get a little bit of scriptures, get a little bit of knowledge, and you can't tell them nothing. Humility is out the window. Read on.
Because he fancied that he himself was the wisest and most virtuous of all men.
Go ahead.
And moreover, the most valorous.
And the
most he's the greatest.
Oh my
He's
God.
valorous. He's most valorous.
I'm the most courageous. I got the most heart out of anybody. I got the most heart.
It's like when the pep talks before you go in the ring.
That's something you say when you look in the mirror.
It is I.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the greatest, man.
That's exaggerated.
Can't nobody. I'm the man. If this isn't pride, arrogancy, vaunting. This is what our people do the minute you give them a little bit of correction.
Look at little Mayweather.
They got Mayweather. I'm on the, Mayweather talk with a little stutter. I'm on the winning team. Everybody want to and should be want to be the winner. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And the most just.
And it says, and I'm the most what?
Just.
I'm the most just, man. I'm the most virtuous. I'm the wisest. I'm the most valorous. And what else?
And most just.
Go ahead.
Hated all who ventured to offer him instruction.
He said he did what?
Hated all who ventured to offer him instruction.
And what happens when you got pride?
Hated all who ventured to offer him instruction.
What does our people do? They hate anybody that gives them what?
Instruction.
Wow. Because they got what?
Pride.
Because they got pride. Our people can't be instructed. I hate you because you give me the slightest correction. Because it doesn't match my pride of how I feel about myself. Mm-hmm. And if you do anything to tamper with how I feel about myself, you're my enemy.
That's right.
And you got a problem with me. And you don't like me.
That's right.
You're attacking me. Because you're not matching how I feel about myself. Now, this man just has the power to kill you for it. Because that's what he did. Mm-hmm. He just killed people for it. Even when they was on his side. He even killed the guy that got him in office.
Wow. He's out there. He's out there, bro.
Yeah.
Took the guy out, man. That should be it, right?
Alright, it says more than even his avowed enemies.
He said he hated the people that corrected him more than his enemies.
That's honest. That's real.
You let that go.
Anybody correct a man, worse than the devil, right? Worse than Esau, right?
It said, "Am I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?"
Yeah.
Caligula, you became worse than an enemy because you tell him the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, I was gonna say it's crazy you brought that up because it has me thinking about even how musicians are, the mindset of artists. They'll say the same exact thing. I'm the best rapper alive, the best that could ever do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm the best producer. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody match my skills.
That's right.
And then, you know, the same thing.
And when they touch on them little points, they'll get just as mad.
But our people find anything to separate themselves from their brother, because that's all that pride is. Pride is a separation that you're not better than me, that I have an advantage over you. That's why Christ put together this whole parable, is for these particular individuals that think themselves to be self-righteous. And when a man does feel like he's self-righteous or he's on a level, the natural order is to despise and separate himself from the man right next to him. That's why the Pharisee in his prayer said what? I'm thankful that you didn't make me an extortioner, that you didn't make me what?
Unjust.
Unjust, what else? Adulterer, what else?
Or even as this publican.
Read on.
I fast twice in the week.
He said, don't you see what I do that's right? I fast twice a week. This man is a sinner. What else?
I give tithes of all that I possess.
I give tithe, I give my 10%. What else?
And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner.
He said, God be merciful to me, a what?
A sinner.
What was this man able to do in his prayer?
Talk about
see himself. Acknowledge his faults.
Right.
He would be able to acknowledge what's wrong with him. But you can't tell a prideful man what's wrong with him. You cannot do it. He'll hate you for it. He'll despise you for it. Because it doesn't match the image that he has of himself or how he sees himself. You're tearing down my costume. You're ripping up my belief in who I think I am. So then I take that personally. You my enemy now. I don't like you, brothers.
And I'm gonna kill
because
you. I'm
gonna kill you for it.
Yeah.
And when I get an opportunity, because I don't like what you're telling me. See, pride has so many destructive tendencies and natures associated with it. Go, let that go. Well, hold that. Finish it up. Finish it up first.
God. That was in
down verse 14.
Verse 14. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other.
He said, which one was justified in the eyes of the Most High?
The second.
Why?
Because he acknowledged himself.
Because he could see what's wrong with him. That's a disease of our people, is that I don't see what's wrong with me. That's a main issue and sickness amongst our people. We never could say what's wrong with us. We never can acknowledge it. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's doing. It's never us. It's never me. Ecclesiastes 18:27. Read that.
My condition's not my doing. My situation's not my doing.
Yeah.
My actions are not even my doing.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 27. A wise man will fear in everything.
Go ahead.
And in the day of sinning.
It said, a wise man will fear in everything. And in the day of sinning, read on.
He will beware of the offense.
He said he'll be careful of what?
The offense.
But how come a prideful person can't be careful of the offense? Because they don't see nothing. They don't see them doing nothing wrong. They can't see their mistakes. See, a prideful person can't see their mistakes. I can't see what's wrong with me. I don't know what you're talking about. You got a problem with me? You got a problem with the Bible. Because I can't see what's wrong with me. That's dangerous, man, if you can't see what's wrong with you. It's also dangerous when you cannot receive correction or admonition from those that are around you. Because and it's dangerous because of your pride. It will inhibit your ability to follow. You can't follow when you're full of pride because you don't agree. Read it one more time.
Ecclesiastes chapter 18 and verse 27.
And somebody had Ecclesiastes 5 and 2. I think you had that, right? Read that 27 one more time.
A wise man will fear in everything.
Go ahead.
And in the day of sinning, he will beware of offense.
Go ahead.
But a fool will not observe time.
It said, but a what?
But a fool will not observe time.
Why? Why not? Because he don't agree that he's doing something wrong. Read that, Ecclesiastes 5:2.
Ecclesiastes 5, verse 2. Follow not thine own heart, own mind, and thy strength, to walk in the ways of thy heart.
It says, don't ever think that you're right. Stop looking at yourself like you're right. That's a big error, man. That's a big error. That's a big mistake. We think in our minds we right. Read on.
And say not, who shall control me from my works?
And say what?
And say not, who shall control me from my works?
So, go ahead.
For the Lord will surely revenge thy pride.
It said, because what's this person's problem?
Pride.
It's pride, bro. Read on.
Say not, I have sinned, and what harm hath happened unto me?
It said, say not, I have sinned, and what harm is ain't nothing happened to me. Read on.
For the Lord is long suffering.
And if something didn't happen to me, why didn't the Most High stay me right away? The Most High is patient. He's waiting for you to change, to repent. But it's hard for a prideful man to repent because he can't see what he does wrong. You can't repent if you can't acknowledge your mistakes. You gotta at least see what's wrong with you. If you can't see what's wrong with you, how are you gonna repent? Repent for what? Change what? You can't change what you think is right. You're just gonna keep on with your pride. Pride go before what? Destruction. That's what happens right before you hit the downward spiral. Yep. That's it's almost like the Most High don't want you to fall. He's just waiting for you to acknowledge where you're wrong at. It's hard to do when you got a lot of pride. Read on.
Yeah. But the Lord is long suffering. He will in no wise let thee go.
He said the Most High is long suffering. He wants you to change, but is he going to let that sin slide? No. Read.
Concerning propitiation.
Propitiation. Which is atonement for sin.
Be not without fear to add sin unto sin.
He said don't be stacking up sins. Hold this right quick. I want you to get Ecclesiastes chapter 15, and give me verse 5. And I want you to get this ungers. I know you got the ungers. Here's the ungers right here. I want you to get this right quick. Get Ecclesiastes 15 verse 5 for me real fast.
Ecclesiastes, in the Apocrypha 15 and 5. She shall exalt him above his neighbors.
Read.
And
it said the only thing that separates men is what? Read verse 1.
Ecclesiastes 15 and 1. He that feareth the Lord.
What separates men?
Fear of the Lord.
The fear of the Lord is what separates men. Men use pride to separate themselves. But the only thing that separates men according to the Most High is what?
He that feareth the Lord.
Go ahead.
Will do good.
All right, he'll do good. So that's what separates men. Those that fear the Lord, not those that got pride. Men that got pride separate themselves from men. Jump down to verse 5.
She shall exalt him above his neighbors.
Read.
And in the midst of the congregation shall she open his mouth. He shall find joy and a crown of gladness.
Read.
And she shall cause him to inherit an everlasting name.
Read on.
But foolish men.
It said, but what?
But foolish men.
Read.
Shall not attain unto her.
Go ahead.
And sinners shall not see her.
And sinners shall not what?
See her.
Sinners shall not see wisdom, because he's only giving that to those that fear him. Read on.
For she is far from pride.
Because wisdom is far from who?
Pride.
Wisdom is in a total opposite direction from what? From pride. Read on.
And men that are liars cannot remember her.
Woo. Goodness. Read on.
Verse 9. Praise is not seemly in the mouth of a sinner.
He says praise is not seemly. It's not correct in the mouth of a sinner. Go ahead.
For it was not sent him of the Lord.
It says, for it was not sent him of the Lord. Now, give me this definition of praise in the Unger's Bible Dictionary. Starting with it says when pertaining or directed to men in that group.
When directed.
It's the definition of praise in the Unger's Bible Dictionary.
Praise. When directed toward men.
It says when you're talking about men receiving praise, when men do things to receive praise, when praise is their number one focus, not humility, not say to themselves, I'm an unprofitable servant, but when they look for glory, when men look for recognition, when men look for attention, when they want a pat on the back, when they want to be recognized, when they want to be acknowledged, when they want to be exalted, when they want to be set above everybody else and say I'm better than everybody else. He said when you talk about praise concerning when it's directed to men, read on.
It should never descend to a fulsome flattery.
Go ahead.
Nor should the love of it.
Read it again so we understand what he's saying.
It says when directed towards men, it should never descend to fulsome flattery.
It says a man should never get praise to the point where it develops to flattery. Get the definition of flattery. It says it's one thing to acknowledge somebody's good deeds, but it's another thing to where it starts to develop into flattery, fulsome flattery.
A whole conversation.
No, let's find out. Flattery.
False praise.
It said flattery is what?
False praise.
Because there is a praise that's going above and beyond that's false.
Oh, okay.
There's some flattery that you could look to receive that you shouldn't be looking to receive.
Right.
Now you gotten beside yourself. What else you got?
Commendation bestowed for the purpose of gaining favor and influence.
It says commendation bestowed for the purpose of gaining what?
Favor and influence.
You want this praise because you have a motive. The motive and the purpose of receiving it is to gain what?
Favor and influence.
Because you want to be favored and influenced in front of who? Men.
Don't that go as well as the guy that's doing the flattering to somebody else?
Right.
The
guy that's doing the flattering is setting his neighbor up for a fall. Know that Proverbs read that. That's somebody setting somebody up. That ain't the one giving somebody false praise. That's a setup. You can read that in Proverbs. Let me see. Job chapter 17 verse 5. Read that.
Job chapter 17.
Okay, never mind.
You got it already.
Job chapter 17 verse 5. He that speaketh flattery.
He said he that speaketh what?
Flattery.
Go ahead.
To his friends.
To his what?
To his friends.
A man is speaking flattery to his friends. Read on.
Even the eyes of his children shall fail.
It said even the eyes of his children shall what?
Shall fail.
That's a setup, man. See, the Most High don't want you dealing with people like that. Because that's deceitful. Bigging somebody up, blowing somebody up, that's deceitful. Making somebody bigger than what they are, the Most High got a problem with that. Yes, sir.
Whose children is he talking about?
The one that's speaking the flattery. Yes.
Okay.
The Most High because you're setting somebody up for a fall, but since you're setting somebody up by flattery, the Most High gonna make your situation fail.
You know, you tell people you don't have to change. You're not that bad. You don't have to really work on that.
Yeah.
You're good as you are. You are perfect the way you are. Like people say nowadays.
Or I don't see why they're coming down on you so hard. You're not that bad.
Exactly.
They're being extreme.
Okay, cool. You're destroying yourself.
Really. Yeah, but you speaking that to somebody else, but you're setting yourself up for a fall. Because this yes sir.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, is it possible that the reason why they're setting their children up for the fall is because they speak that same way to their kids too? They never tell them really when they're off. They flatter them or blow their heads up over every little thing.
Yep. Never tell them what's wrong with them. Never use correction. See, correction keeps that flattery in check, or that pride in check. So, but somebody that use flattery, if they speak that flattery to their kids, they set their kids up. You don't have to be like everybody else. You're just fine the way you are. Don't work out. Don't change. Eat what you want. You know what I'm saying? You'll be accepted. You're my baby.
Okay.
You know, long as you in this house, you're gonna be all right.
You have to do reality talk.
But you never correct your kids the right way. But you know what? Your own kids they gonna fall too. Because you know what? You was deceiving people with your tongue. That's deceitful talk. But read that.
Okay.
It says, when directed towards men, it should never descend to fulsome flattery.
Go ahead.
Nor should the love of it.
Nor should the love of it. Nor should the love of praise. One to get patted on the back. Read on.
Become so great.
It becomes so important. Go ahead.
As to hush the voice.
It says there's something dangerous that praise can do to a person. Praise is dangerous when you bigging up somebody. That's why Paul said, man, I'm coming with in weakness. I don't want you to give me no props. Because he knows that praise is damaging. To inflate somebody's pride so high. What does praise do when somebody's inflated? Their head is inflated. What will it do?
Become so great as to hush the voice.
It will do what?
Hush the voice.
It will do what?
Hush the voice.
What does that mean? Hush the voice. Hush the voice of what?
Of conscience.
That means it'll silence my ability to see myself in a wrong way.
Wow.
Right.
Praise will tell me, it will incorrectly tell me that I'm always right. Then it'll hush the voice of conscience where what?
And of duty.
And of duty. Read on.
While without it, there will be no sense of reproach.
It says there will be no sense of what?
No sense of reproach.
Meaning you can't correct me. You can't correct me. I'm gonna show you how pride to do that. Go to Matthew chapter 11 and start at verse 21.
Matthew chapter 11 and verse 21.
Matthew chapter 11 verse 21. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida!
Chorazin is a city by the Sea of Galilee. Same with Bethsaida. They're cities by the Sea of Galilee. This is where Peter was from. This is where Andrew and Philip was from. Read on.
For if the mighty works which were done in you...
This is Christ speaking. Read it again from the top. This is Christ speaking.
Matthew chapter 11 and verse 21. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have been repented long ago.
Christ said, listen, destruction to you. He said, because if I would have did these miracles in a foreign country, he said the miracles that I did was to show the people that if they repent from sin, the Most High will forgive you and raise you up out of your sickness. He said, but if I did these miracles in Tyre and Sidon, these are Phoenician Canaanite cities. He said, if I did it to the Canaanites, he said they would have did what?
Repented long ago.
He said the damn nations. The nations would repent if they seen the miracles that I did in this place with you. Why would somebody not realize that they have some changes to make? Because of what?
Pride.
Because of pride.
And what it does to his conscience.
Because it does what to the conscience?
It blunts it.
It says it does what to the conscience?
It says right here. It says it hushes.
It hushes the what?
The voice of conscience.
So I tell myself that I'm okay. I'm not that bad.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with me. That's what pride does. It silences that voice that you need to tell you when you're wrong. It hushes the guilt. That's what pride does. It hushes the fact that you're guilty. Because you tell yourself, I'm okay. Yes, sir.
Which is like self-praise and self...
worship.
what they say? It's self praise and
It's self praise is one of them.
Self worship. I mean,
or you could say I like self praise more.
Glory.
Okay.
Self praise more, because what it does is it you can never see yourself as wrong. You can never see yourself as guilty, and it silences that voice that's supposed to cut you when you do wrong.
Yeah.
That's what pride does. That's why it's so deceitful.
You can't tell nobody nothing.
You can't tell nobody nothing, and it takes away the fact that I am guilty. You need guilt in order to, and shame in order to repent. You gotta feel bad.
That's the definition. That's the actual definition.
That's the definition of contrition and repentance. Repentance, actually, by definition, to feel such sorrow as for past actions, as to not do them, to not repeat them. So you gotta feel bad in order to repent. Pride tells a person that they don't have to repent. That's the devilish side of pride.
That's crazy, man.
He said, Christ said, if I did these miracles in Tyre or Zidon, he said they would have repented already. Read on.
In sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you.
He said, man, they would have been in sackcloth and in ashes. Which is what?
Contrition.
Humility.
Very much so like Jonah when he taught the city of Nineveh.
Yep.
They would have let it go and said, we're gonna have a fast. We're gonna put even the ashes on our animals.
Yep.
And they end up repenting as a city. The Ninevites.
Yep. They end up repenting. Read on.
Verse 22. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment.
He said, at the day of what?
At the day of judgment.
He said, it's going to be more tolerable for Tyre and Zidon than for you. Because you never were able to see where you were wrong. You never thought you had to repent. Why didn't you believe you had to repent? Because you couldn't see yourself. Because that pride is deceptive, man. Because you can do no wrong in your eyes. You can do no wrong in your perspective. Read on.
Verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted unto heaven.
He said, you exalted to heaven. You way up there. Read on. Yeah, look at what my hands have created in Babylon, right on the porch. Read.
Come. And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted unto heaven.
He said, man, you way up to heaven in your eyes and your estimation of yourself. You up in heaven. Read on.
Shall be brought down to hell.
He said, you're going to be brought down to what?
Hell.
Because you put yourself on a level. You put yourself on a pedestal. You really can't see nothing wrong with you. Read on.
For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom.
He said, even the punks and Sodomites, if I would have did these miracles in Sodom and Gomorrah. Read on.
Wow.
It would have remained unto this day.
Sodom and Gomorrah still be around.
Wow.
The punks would have lasted. If I would have did these works in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh.
He's showing you that there's a detachment of guilt associated with pride, with your perspective. You don't even desire to change because you can't see yourself. That's what's hushing that voice. That's what hushes that voice of consciousness, that you're guilty, that you got some changes to make. Read on.
Verse 24. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee.
Than for men that cannot see themselves. That means that a man that cannot see himself is worse than a punk.
That's the truth, biblically.
A prideful man, it's what he's saying, man. It's worse.
Because at least they have the opportunity to see themselves. It's more apparent.
They have a chance to see where they're wrong at.
But a man that's in his glory, quote unquote, can't convince nobody. Can't convince them.
Can't convince them. You can't convince them. You can't talk to them. You can't correct them. You can't admonish them. You can't do nothing. They can't. This is why it says in Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 4, read verse 2. And I want you to finish reading that definition of praise and what it does concerning men.
Go.
1 Timothy 4 and verse 2. Speaking lies and hypocrisy.
It says speaking what?
Lies and hypocrisy.
It says speaking lies and hypocrisy. Read on.
Having their conscience seared.
It says having their what?
Their conscience seared.
See, the reason why people don't change is their conscience is already burnt. It's already seared with what?
With a hot iron.
Now, when you read this in Greek, it means to cauterize. To cauterize a nerve. When you got back pain, and you go to a chiropractor, not a chiropractor, but
back specialist.
A back specialist, which it would be a bone doctor. I guess you would say ortho doctor. Orthopedic surgeon. Ortho surgeon. Ortho doctor. Bone doctor. And he takes that little laser beam and he burns that little nerve, the one that's being pinched. He burns it for what purpose?
To take away the pain.
To numb it. To numb it so you don't feel that shooting, agonizing, electric pain shooting down your body.
Kills the nerve.
So they deaden the nerve by burning the nerve. He said, a lot of our people, they have their conscience what?
Seared.
That in the Greek that means cauterized. That means your conscience is numb.
Wow.
You have a numb conscience. You don't feel nothing. And what's got you to the point where you don't feel nothing? Your pride got you to that point where you don't feel nothing. You don't feel bad for your mistakes. That's somebody with a deadened nerve. That's somebody with a cauterized nerve. That's somebody with a cauterized conscience. They don't feel bad. Same thing he's saying right here. That's what praise will do to you. Whether it's self-praise, self-worship, self-estimation, or just plain old pride. Read.
When directed towards men, it should never descend to fulsome flattery, nor should the love of it become so great as to hush the voice of conscience and of duty.
And what's that duty? He said, and the voice of what?
Of duty.
And he said, what's the duty you're supposed to have to your brother? Go to Ecclesiastes 28 and 2. What's your duty as a brother? What is your duty? Something will hush your conscience and your duties. What's your duties?
Be servant.
Let's read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 28 and verse 2.
Read that.
Forgive thy neighbor.
What's your duty?
Forgive thy neighbor.
What's your responsibility?
To forgive thy neighbor.
Read.
The hurt that he had done unto thee.
So, if your conscience is numb and it's dead, and you're in your pride, and you can't see what you do wrong, and you start to despise other people, then how can you forgive your brother with a dead conscience? How can you forgive your brother with pride? How can you forgive your brother if you only see what they do wrong, and you only see the sin in them, but you can't see the sin in yourself? Then how can you forgive? You can't. So that's why he says you can't even do your duties. Your duties is to forgive your people the mistakes that they have done unto you. Read.
Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he had done unto thee. So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest.
And the Most High will forgive you for your sins when you do what?
When you pray, when thou prayest.
But if you pray and you don't think you're that bad, and you never acknowledge where you're wrong at in your prayer, is the Most High ever going to forgive a prideful man's sins? Why not?
Because it's sin. I mean, that's the short answer for me. It's because it's sin.
Because he got a dead conscience.
And he can't forgive others.
He can't forgive others.
You're not going to
because
give, you don't give.
He don't feel bad about what he does wrong. because he doesn't think he's wrong.
That is very interesting because there's a. I was reading in Romans where he'll leave you a reprobate mind, and that definition, it means lacking, and it could be easily lacking the knowledge to be on the right side instead of being on the wrong side. You know, because you can't forgive your brother if you got pride.
You're right.
And you're lacking some things like wisdom.
You know what it takes to forgive somebody? The ability to see the wrong in yourself. That's why you need to see the wrong in yourself to forgive somebody else if they're wrong.
I've been there. I've been there.
But if you got pride, pride has obstructed your ability to see yourself as wrong. Therefore, you're not going to be able to see and understand what it feels like to be wrong. So you never forgive somebody else. You're always the victim. They're always the problem.
You're telling my story,
It's
man. How you
always their fault. No, this is our problem, bro. And they don't deserve mercy.
Right.
Last verse. Let that go. Luke chapter 13. Verse 10.
Luke chapter 13, verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity.
This woman had a what?
A spirit of infirmity.
Read on.
18 years.
How long was she in this situation?
18 years.
18 years, bro. She was with the same spirit. What was wrong with her? Read on.
And was bowed together.
She was what?
And was bowed together.
Meaning this woman had a crooked back. She was bowed over.
Bowed together.
She was bowed. She was folded over for 18 years. You seen people they now look like they're touching their toes? They can't walk upright. She was hunchback on a severe level. This person was bowed over for 18 years. She ain't stood up straight for 18 years.
I've seen it.
You gotta live like that? They look like a baboon or something. But you talking about bent, hunched over for 18 years, knuckles dragging for 18 years? Read on.
And could in no wise lift up herself.
And she couldn't do what?
Lift up herself.
Forget the hunchback of Notre Dame. This is even worse. This is worse than that. Read on.
And when Yahushua saw her, he called her to him and said unto her, Woman, thou art loosed from thine infirmity.
He said, you free from your sickness. You're healed from your sickness. Christ knew that woman had been like that for a long time. You free. Read on.
And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight.
And she was what?
She was made straight.
That woman stood straight up. As soon as he touched the woman stood straight up, straight upright. She ain't been upright in 18 years.
That's a miracle right there, bro. Wow, it's powerful.
Read on.
And glorified the Most High.
And she glorified the Most High. Read on.
And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation.
He said, this ruler of the synagogue answered with what?
With indignation.
Fiery wrath. Why is the ruler of the synagogue full of wrath? That this woman that's been in this position for 18 years is able to stand up straight. Why is he so damn mad?
Because he was responsible for her soul, like
he can do it. He's not the one that did it.
Because he's detached. That's why.
When you say detached,
he's detached.
No, I'm sorry.
He has no compassion for nobody.
But himself.
Okay.
Read.
God.
And Christ did that on what?
On the Sabbath.
And Christ did it on the Sabbath. So all he cares about is what?
The details.
It contradicts
the rule.
His
You broke the rules.
You broke the rules.
You broke the rules.
Right.
How dare you heal this crooked woman's back and body, bent over for 18 years on the Sabbath? You know what day it is?
That's crazy.
Read.
because that Yahushua had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, there are 6 days in which men ought to work.
And the Pharisee and the Pharisee said what?
And there are 6 days in which men ought to work.
You shouldn't be working on the Sabbath, bro. Are you healing somebody? And you got a problem with that? Read.
And them, therefore, come and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day.
They said you could do it, just don't do it when?
On the Sabbath day.
Now I'm trying to tell Christ what time and what day he can heal.
Bless him.
And the Sabbath is for him anyway. It's in honor of Yahweh.
All of it is. The whole scriptures is. Read.
Verse 15. The Lord then answered him and said,
Christ said, come ye all that labor and a heavy burden, and I shall give you what?
Rest.
He said, I'll give you rest.
Mm-hmm.
He is our rest. Read.
Now, if you understand that, really Christ was, they had a misunderstanding of the Shabbat. They didn't want to accept. They had a misunderstanding of what this ritual was. They had a misunderstanding of what Moses was dropping.
Yep.
They didn't understand what Moses was dropping. That's why Christ said he came that he may open up their understanding in the scriptures. A lot of people can't accept the fact that someone has to expand their understanding. They can't accept that.
Because they're stuck on what they know.
Huh.
Read.
Thou hypocrite.
He said, thou what?
Thou hypocrite.
Read.
Doth not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall?
Whoa.
And lead him away to watering?
He said, you damn hypocrite. Don't you have compassion on your animals and know when your animals are thirsty, even on the Sabbath? So you'll give water to your dumb oxen and ass to make sure you got compassion on your animals. So when it pertains to your household, when it pertains to you, you got understanding.
Yep.
When it pertains to you, you got mercy. When it pertains to you, you have compassion.
You bend the rules.
Yeah, you bend the rules when it's you. It's okay for you. But when it comes to somebody else, you can't have that. You call foul. You call a lawbreaker. You clarify a sinner. So now you got restrictions. That's what pride does to people. It makes them one-sided. And they can't see nothing that they do. All they can see is what everybody else do. That's what pride do to you. That's the danger of pride. Read on.
And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham.
And isn't this much? And why he's saying this woman is a daughter of Abraham, he's showing how much more valuable she is than some damn ox. He's declaring her value. This is a daughter of Abraham. And you don't have no damn compassion? What's wrong with you? Tell you what's wrong with us. It's pride. It's holding on to our perspective. And it's dangerous. Read on.
Whom Satan hath bound.
It said that Satan bound this woman up for 18 years.
She's been suffering.
She's been suffering. Afflicted. And all you care about is the fact that it's on a Sabbath day? You don't got no damn compassion. That's why he said their conscience is seared with what? With a hot iron.
Cauterized.
It's cauterized, bro. They numb. Our people numb.
Can't even feel no more.
They don't feel nothing. They don't feel nothing. All they care about is when it pertains to them. I can understand this. I'm losing something.
I'm offended.
I'm offended. I'm affected. But you have no idea of what effect you have on the people next to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can see no offense that you do wrong. Read on. Finish that.
Lo, these 18 years be loosed from the bond on the Sabbath day.
Read.
And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed.
He had to cut them and to shame them. Because you know what? They are guilty. They just ain't never had nobody show them how they were guilty. See, the Pharisees had nobody ever to show them what they was wrong at.
Because they all shook each other's hand up.
Yeah.
They created an echo chamber of your own point.
Right.
Colin.
They said they like to sit in the chief seats.
Yep.
They like to greet each other in the markets. rabbi,
In the high
master.
places.
Yeah, they like to be greeted in the marketplaces. They like the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the attention. But you ain't got no mercy, no compassion, no understanding. You can't see yourself when you're wrong. You trust in your own righteousness and you despise others. You separate yourself from your people. And you have more mercy on a dumb animal than your own people. Read.
All his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him.
And the people, the regular people, they appreciated Christ. Because if it was up to the Pharisees, they'll be bent over for another 18 years.
And wouldn't care.
And wouldn't care.
Because she's a sinner.
Because she's a sinner. No compassion, bro. So, question of the class is, does the Most High value your point of view?
Only follow Christ.
No, it does not.
Well, not your opinion.
Yeah, it's not. Our opinion, our point of view is sick. All right. So with that, we're gonna say shalom. I didn't want it to go this long, but we had to finish it up. Shalom, everybody at the water for watching. We'll be back in action on Friday. Shalom to everybody. As a matter of fact, shalom and shout out to all our brothers celebrating Pentecost, Feast of Tabernacles. We're gonna do something. I'm sure we're gonna do something. Probably on maybe Friday. We might do something on Friday, maybe a dinner or something. We'll announce it. We'll come together and announce it here in San Antonio. But to everybody else, shout out to you. Have enjoy your Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of First Fruits. Shout out and shalom.
Shalom.
Feast of First Fruits.
Okay.